Chapter 24:12, I'm Grandma's favorite. The next morning finally arrived. Ah Zhong went to a store to buy a bunch of candy before secretly planning to seek out Tang Tang. Ever since Tang Tang started living there, Yin Yuerong had switched off her usual workaholic mode. On her day off today, she really rested at home and didn't go anywhere or work overtime. Although the bill revision assembly was imminent, Yin Yuerong remained calm and composed without her typical irritability, as though she had become a different person. Right now, Tang Tang had just finished eating breakfast with Yin Yuerong. "Grandma, can I go to the plum forest to break off a few branches of plum blossoms?" Tang Tang inquired, blinking his large eyes. From the side, Ah Zhong inwardly snorted. That brat was truly undisciplined. Plum blossoms were Yin Yuerong's most favored item. When a servant randomly touched a single leaf, they'd be severely punished. Even him, he accidentally broke a branch one time and received a round of scolding, so how could she permit this little brat to haphazardly break a branch? Ah Zhong coolly interjected, "These plum flowers are Madam's favorite, so how could you break them off willy-nilly?" Although Auntie Qiao wanted to say something, she knew Yin Yuerong's rules, so she kept quiet. Yin Yuerong glanced at Tang Tang but didn't seem angered. She placidly asked, "Isn't it good for the flowers to bloom on the branches?" Tang Tang pressed closer to Yin Yuerong and brightly smiled. "It's pretty for the flowers to blossom on the branches, but Tang Tang thinks these plum flowers are better placed near my grandma than blooming on their branches." Yin Yuerong was startled briefly before the corner of her lips turned up in an almost gentle smile. Tang Tang added, "I wanted to break a branch to place on Grandma's desk so that Grandma could constantly see it. Wouldn't that be better?" "Madam, look at how filial little young master is." Auntie Qiao seriously liked this child more the more time she spent with him. She had forgotten how long it had been since Madam truly lived for herself. Ever since little young master got here, Madam's mood had improved more and more, and she smiled more frequently. Tang Tang paused and intentionally glanced at Ah Zhong before saying, "Plus, Grandma's favorite isn't plum flowers anymore, I'm Grandma's favorite now." Ah Zhong's expression was as dark as the bottom of a pan. PFT. A laugh broke out of Auntie Qiao. Even Yin Yuerong chuckled aloud. "You aren't humble at all." Ah Zhong forced himself to remember that he still needed the little brat's help for something today, so he forcefully suppressed his rage, but menace filled his heart. Young Master Yin Heng was right. If they allowed this little brat to remain the favorite, his position would be nowhere in sight after the Yin family changed masters. In the plum forest, Ah Zhong brought along the candy and secretly followed Tang Tang. When they reached a spot without any bystanders, Ah Zhong called out immediately, "Little Br, little young master." Upon hearing him, Tang Tang turned back. "Oh, it's you, Ah Zhong. Do you need something?" This child was clearly only 4 or 5 years old and had to look up at people, but his cold gaze made him look like he was born to look down at Ah Zhong, sending waves of displeasure in the man's heart. "Little young master, these are candies and toys I bought for you. See if you like them." Ah Zhong was fawning in his demeanor. Tang Tang raised his brows at the big brimming bag of candy and assortment of toys in Ah Zhong's hold, a glint flashing through his eyes. One who was solicitous for no reason hid evil intentions. Ah Zhong saw the child's eyes light up, and his expression revealed how pleased he was with himself. "Little young master, do you want them? I can give all of this to you as long as you do me a tiny favor." Chapter 24:13, No one would hate my mommy. Tang Tang leisurely asked, "What favor?" Ah Zhong looked to the left and right before digging out an exquisitely beautiful wooden box carved with flowers. "Little young master, can you help me place this item in a drawer inside Madam's study?" Tang Tang glanced at the wooden box. "Why won't you place it yourself?" Ah Zhong sighed before replying, "Little young master, you should know that I can't enter the study without Madam's permission, so I can only ask for your help." "What's inside?" Tang Tang asked. Ah Zhong hastily opened it. It's a piece of porcelain. Inside laid a thin and small celadone dish. "Why do you need to put this inside Grandma's study?" Tang Tang asked. Ah Zhong gritted his teeth. This little brat is so paranoid. Why is he asking so many whys? Ah Zhong donned an anxious expression and pitifully said, "Sigh, honestly, this is what happened. Madam ordered me to enter and clean up the study last time, but while I was cleaning, I accidentally shattered this piece of porcelain. I was afraid of Madam punishing me, so I didn't dare to tell Madam and went to buy an identical piece in a wish to replace it before Madam found out. Little young master, please do a kind deed and help me out." When Tang Tang didn't respond, Ah Zhong gently said, "Little young master, you just need to wait until Madam isn't there and sneakily help me put it inside. It's very simple." Tang Tang didn't agree or decline, a contemplative expression on his face. Seeing the situation look hopeful, Ah Zhong start persuading him more earnestly, "Little young master, although I've offended you many times previously, it was with your well-being in mind. You don't know, but Madam is especially strict normally, so I was afraid you'd do something wrong and anger her. I was afraid she'd punish you, which is why I reminded you carefully every time." "Is that so?" Tang Tang asked. A sharp glint flickered in Ah Zhong's eyes. He intended to use this opportunity and sow some discord, so he said, "That's right. Don't you know, little young master? Madam actually has a bad relationship with your dad and has done many, many terrible things to your dad and even kicked him out of the house. Madam also really hates your mom." Before Ah Zhong could finish speaking, the semi-interested Tang Tang's expression suddenly changed and his eyes shot toward him like an ice blade. "No one would hate my mommy." Ahem, Ah Zhong was at a loss for words momentarily. "But little young master, what I said is the absolute truth. If you don't believe me, you can go out and ask around. Everyone knows about this." Tang Tang's cherub face was brimming with a coldness that didn't match his age as he stressed every word he said. "Why should I ask around? I just need to listen to what Mommy tells me. Mommy told me Grandma is a nice person, so Grandma is a nice person." "You're speaking badly of Grandma. You're a bad person." Ah Zhong never expected this unpredictable development from the child and was dumbfounded. He was originally preparing to paint himself with a more favorable light and then vilify Yin Yuerong a bit more. How did he suddenly turn into a bad person? But wait, Yin Yuerong was a villain from the start, so why did he need to vilify her? Yet this little brat was this stupid and wouldn't believe anything he said. Ah Zhong had no choice but to relent. "Little young master, I was wrong, I was wrong. It's fine if you don't believe me. I was being a loudmouth and shouldn't have run my mouth off. I beg you to help me and put this item inside. Otherwise, my life will be in peril." Chapter 24:14, Bask in the Sun Together. Tang Tang harumphed. "I kinda don't want to help you." Ah Zhong's expression froze. "Little young master. I'm truly begging you. Just what do I need to do to make you help me? I will go buy more snacks and toys for you, alright?" Tang Tang mulled it over before replying, "If you want me to help you, I can. But I have a request." Ah Zhong turned joyous. "What request?" "I'll agree to it regardless of what it is." Tang Tang nonchalantly said, "Alright, then say my grandma is a beautiful and kind-hearted celestial maiden 100 times. Ah Zhong was utterly dumbfounded. What the heck? Is this little brat serious? I isn't that too embarrassing? You won't say it? Then I'll leave. Don't disturb me from picking flowers for Grandma." Tang Tang turned to leave when Ah Zhong failed to speak for ages. Ah Zhong panicked. No, I'll say it. I'll say it right now. Madam is a celestial maiden, you missed something. You can't miss a single word, Tang Tang said. Ah Zhong was miserable. Although he was talented in bootlicking, he'd never had to say such humiliating things before. Madam. Madam is a beautiful and kind-hearted celestial maiden. Madam is a beautiful and kind-hearted celestial maiden. Madam is, Tang Tang started to leisurely walk ahead to continue picking flowers for Yin Yuerong while Ah Zhong gritted his teeth and trailed behind like a lackey, forced to repeat the words Tang Tang demanded in an endless loop. Forget it, I'll endure it. After today, it'll be my world. Little brat, just wait. When Zhong finally finished, Tang Tang also chose an especially pretty plum flower to pluck. Little young master, you'll agree to help me now, right? Zhong wiped his sweat. Bring it over. Tang Tang was brisk this time. Zhong excitedly handed the item over. Little young master, you must remember. Avoid others and secretly put it inside. I know. So naggy, do you think I'm a fool? Zhong chortled inwardly, thinking, I managed to get you to do what I wanted with a few words, brat. You are a fool. However, Zhong probably forgot that he didn't use just a few words. Tang Tang accepted the item and asked, do I put it inside the drawer? Zhong quickly answered, the last drawer in the left cabinet. Yin Yuerong didn't use that spot often, so she wouldn't discover it for now. Got it, Tang Tang said. Zhong was naturally worried, so he followed Tang Tang the entire way there and watched Tang Tang enter the study and visually confirmed he took the box inside. A moment later, Tang Tang came out and the item was gone from his hands. After making sure Tang Tang took the item inside, Zhong followed Yin Heng's plan immediately and anonymously reported Yin Yuerong. When Zhong finished, he released a long sigh of relief. He finally completed his mission and just needed to watch the good show coming up. After today, he would partially become the Yin family's master and wouldn't need to act like a dog under Yin Yuerong and live every day in fear. He wouldn't have to take anything from a little brat anymore either. The weather was nice today, the winter sun casting its warm rays on the earth. After picking his plum flowers, Tang Tang dragged Yin Yuerong to the courtyard to bask in the sun. 2 lounge chairs, one big and one small, were placed in the courtyard and the duo comfortably lay on top of them. They didn't do anything and merely quietly basked in the sun with some chatter exchanged here and there. Chapter 24:15, Anonymous report before, Yin Yuerong wouldn't waste a single second or minute and constantly racked her brain to fight for power and profit. Doing nothing but lying in the courtyard to bask in the sun was a child's tale for her. At this moment, as she quietly lay on her lounge chair, peering at the sun above through the slits in her fingers, she oddly felt as if everything was a lifetime ago. Auntie Qiao stood in the distance and watched this scene, the rims of her eyes tearing up. She originally thought Madame wouldn't change for the rest of her life. Auntie Qiao didn't expect the heavens to finally take pity on Madame for once and send this child to Madame's side. Housekeeper Qiao, a servant approached Auntie Qiao. The servant was about to continue when Auntie Qiao interrupted, quiet down. Madame and little young master are resting. The servant reported, some people from the arbitration council are here. They want to see Madame. The arbitration council? That's right. It's someone from the law department and they've brought a large group here. Auntie Qiao had a faint feeling that something was wrong and didn't dare to delay matters, so she swiftly walked toward Yin Yuerong to inform her. Madam, someone from the arbitration council's law department is suddenly visiting. Their purpose is uncertain, Auntie Qiao said hastily. Yin Yuerong switched back into her Director Yin of the arbitration council mode almost instantly and straightened her clothes before standing up. I'll go and see them. Then she turned to Tang Tang and gently said, Grandma has visitors to receive. Play by yourself for a little. Okay, Grandma. Tang Tang docilely nodded and watched Yin Yuerong quickly heading toward the living room. The guards naturally didn't dare to block the people from the arbitration council and could only allow them inside and send someone to inform Yin Yuerong after confirming the identity of the visitors. Inside the living room, the chief of the arbitration council's law department was standing there with his arms behind his back while the staff he brought had locked down all entrances and exits to the villa, their ill intentions apparent. At the same time, Zhong stood on the side with his breath held as he concealed the excited and greedy glint in his eyes. He didn't expect them to come so fast. However, it wasn't a surprise since the arbitration council attached great importance to Qin Zong's case. Yin Yuerong calmly greeted them. Pardon me for not going out to meet you, Chief Lu. Zhong, bring some tea. Yes, Chief Lu lifted his hand. Director Yin, no need for the tea. I am here on official business today. Yin Yuerong narrowed her eyes. Official business? Chief Lu donned a polite smile. Director Yin, you should know that I've been in charge of Qin Zong's case, but there's a very important account book that we've been unable to find. Yin Yuerong remained composed. I do know. What about it? When Chief Lu saw that her expression remained unchanged still, his eyes chilled. Just now, someone anonymously reported that this account book is inside your study. May I ask if there's anything you would like to say, Director Yin? Yin Yuerong's gaze flickered before she turned to Chief Lu. Is Chief Lu joking? Whether I'm joking or not, we'll find out after a search. What do you say, Director Yin? After all, there's no smoke without fire. To prove your innocence, Director Yin, I had to make a personal visit. You'll definitely cooperate with me, right, Director Yin? Chief Lu spoke beautifully. He didn't offend anyone but also didn't allow anyone to refute him. Yin Yuerong knew that since Chief Lu paid a personal visit and brought so many people with him, they wouldn't relent until they conducted a thorough search. The abruptness of this incident didn't give her any room to react. The only thing she could do was allow the other party to search as they desired. Chapter 24:16. Take good care of Tang Tang. Yin Yuerong aloofly replied, of course, as you wish. Yin Yuerong quickly regained her composure. She normally had an unyielding attitude and enforced laws especially strictly, so she made many enemies. People had reported her out of sheer displeasure before. However, she'd always been cautious and careful and didn't allow anyone to gain leverage on her. Hence, the majority of those people only reported her to repulse her. Whether it was her ancestral Yin residence or Wanmei Villa, they were both tight as an iron tub, and no problems should arise. Upon hearing affirmation from her, Chief Lu waved his hand and ordered his men to search swiftly. Yin Yuerong called Auntie Qiao over. Auntie Qiao. Auntie Qiao, who was standing on pins and needles, rushed over. Yes, madam. What are your orders? Have people take good care of Tang Tang. Don't let him come to the front. Auntie Qiao knew that Yin Yuerong was afraid this display would scare Tang Tang and quickly answered, yes, madam. She had always been by madam's side and knew madam the best. She was well aware madam had nothing to do with Qin Zong's dirty business, so how could she secretly be hiding something as important as Qin Zong's account book? However, Chief Lu came so menacingly and said it with such certainty that Auntie Lu couldn't help but worry. Within 5 minutes, a young man in uniform hastily returned with an item in his hold. Chief! I've found it. When Yin Yuerong saw that young man walk out of her study with an unfamiliar red, carved wooden box, coldness flickered through her eyes. She'd never seen this box before. How did it appear in her study? Chief Lu quickly walked over and opened the box, discovering a celadone porcelain dish laying inside. Chief Lu ordered, break the box apart. The young man obeyed and pulled out a dagger, carefully prying the exquisite wooden box apart. A moment later, the thicker board at the bottom was pried open with a catchhack. The box actually had a hidden layer, and inside the hidden layer was an item wrapped in a brown paper bag. The subordinate exclaimed and handed the item over. Chief! Chief Lu slowly opened the item. It was evidently Qin Zong's ledger. Director Yin, what do you have to say now? Chief Lu's expression was chilly. Yin Yuerong stared at the ledger, a storm brewing on her face. Say what? In this type of situation, there truly wasn't much she could say anymore. She was overly confident and never expected someone to place this item inside her study without any notice. This was the scene that met Auntie Qiao when she returned. She turned pale with fright. Chief Lu, that's impossible. There must be some misunderstanding. Our madam has always acted honestly, so how could she possibly do something like this? Someone must have intentionally planted this ledger there. Chief Lu shot her a cold look. Plant? This is Wanmei Villa. May I ask who's capable enough to openly place something like this inside Director Yin's study? Auntie Qiao replied in a panic, Madam's study is tightly secured and no one can enter without permission indeed, but, before Auntie Qiao could finish, Chief Lu interrupted her, since that's the case, there's no mistaking it. Auntie Chiao reflexively glanced at Yin Yuerong. What she didn't finish saying was, but little young master could freely enter as he wished. Chapter 24:17, Never thought about struggling. Little young master was the only person who had entered Yin Yuerong's study recently. Could it be? Impossible. How could that be possible? Forget about it being impossible. Even if they said it, no one would believe a child would do something like that. With such concrete evidence, Yin Yuerong wouldn't be able to explain herself regardless of what she said. Auntie Chiao met Yin Yuerong's eyes and Yin Yuerong understood what the other woman was thinking. She knew her study best and Tang Tang was the only one who could enter. Tang Tang was also the only one who could secretly put things inside her study without anyone noticing. Moreover, Tang Tang was the only one she didn't guard herself against at all. An extremely terrifying thought gradually rose in Yin Yuerong's mind, this thought slowly swallowing her whole like a quicksand. It was Tang Tang? Why? The darkness that Yin Yuerong had been forcefully suppressing in the bottom of her heart instantly rushed up like a flood. No wonder. She treated his dad and mom like this and she was so unlikable, so why would he like her? Why would he show such concern and intimacy toward her after learning about her identity? Why would he treat her like his grandma, his family? How cold, how could there be someone who liked her? The child became close to her merely for this moment, merely to take revenge on her, right? In the end, her wishes were too far-fetched. When Auntie Chiao saw the expressions flashing across Yin Yuerong's face, her heart panged with sympathy. She wanted to comfort Madam but didn't know what to say. She could only pray that the situation wasn't as she thought. Otherwise, the effect on Madam would be too great. She liked, indulged, and trusted that child so much. Apologies, Director Yin. Please come with us. Chief Lu said. In his hiding spot, the excitement and joy in Ah Zhong's eyes couldn't be concealed anymore. Finally. Yin Yuerong was finally finished. Young Master Yin Heng's method was simply too brilliant. Not only did they take care of Yin Yuerong but he also stayed completely clean. Regardless of what that little bastard would reveal later, no one would believe a child's words. Speaking of which, it was thanks to that little bastard this time for acting so efficiently and placing the item exactly where he instructed so that things progressed so smoothly. Auntie Chiao wanted to say something but Yin Yuerong's gaze prohibited her from saying anything else before turning to Chief Lu. Let's go. Although this was a higher-up from the arbitration council, they still had to follow the due process. Chief Lu ordered people to bring forth the chains and handcuffs specially crafted for people with high martial strength. Pardon this offense. Yin Yuerong expressionlessly stared at those handcuffs and remained silent. Her eyes dimmed little by little as though an enormous vortex was swallowing all of the light. In the end, she merely gave one instruction to her housekeeper. Auntie Chiao, after I leave, send Tang Tang to Ajio's place. She should have known that she shouldn't have ever forcefully demanded things that didn't belong to her. How funny. She made a mistake. She actually made a mistake again. When Auntie Chiao heard Yin Yuerong's instructions, tears spilled out. Madam, you'll be fine. You'll definitely be fine. However, in this kind of situation, the evidence was discovered at the scene, so even Madam was helpless. Or rather, Madam didn't seem to have even thought about struggling. Auntie Chiao could tell that Madam was truly greatly impacted this time. Chapter 24:18, No one is allowed to take my grandma away. The past few days, Yin Yuerong had lived like she was dreaming. She might have been relaxed and happy but she was also plagued with fear, afraid that days like these were just an illusion and would disappear in the blink of an eye. Now that it finally came true, she felt oddly relieved. As expected, she had to pay the price for something so wonderful. Let's move. Since this was Tang Tang's wish, then so be it. When Chief Lu saw Yin Yuerong didn't resist, he released a sigh of relief. His subordinates each took a side as they approached and shackled her. Chief Lu ordered, take her away. Before Yin Yuerong walked through the front entrance, a childish voice suddenly shouted, hold on. The little fella's voice was a bit young, but his aura was abnormally fierce. He darted in front of Yin Yuerong, using his tiny body to protect her behind him. No one is allowed to take my grandma away. Yin Yuerong reflexively used her sleeves to cover the handcuffs around her wrists, her expression dazed as she looked at the child who suddenly appeared. Tang Tang, Chief Lu saw the child that popped out of nowhere and automatically started examining the child. A glance and he was surprised. This child really resembles Director C. So this was the child detained by Yin Yuerong that everyone was babbling about. Didn't they say Yin Yuerong loathed this child's mother, so she detained this child to torment him every day? Because of this, the higher-ups of the Arbitration Council had complaints about her and thought her actions affected the Arbitration Council's reputation, so they were planning to condemn her together. So why did it look like things weren't as the rumors claimed? If Yin Yuerong tormented this child every day, why would he step forward to protect her at a time like this? Yin Yuerong never expected Tang Tang to appear and froze in her spot. Tang Tang was a tiny ball, but he staunchly stood in front of Yin Yuerong and said, "It was me who placed this red wooden box inside Grandma's study this morning. It has nothing to do with Grandma." When Auntie Chiao heard this, surprise covered her face. When Yin Yuerong heard Tang Tang personally admitting that he was the one who put the box there, her face turned as pale as snow and the last trace of warmth in her heart completely dispersed in the chilly wind. It really was Tang Tang who placed it there. But since it was him who did it, why did he come forward to admit it now? At this moment, half of Yin Yuerong's heart was sunken into a cold river while the other was burning in a blazing flame. Zhong was watching as Yin Yuerong was about to be taken away, but then this little brat suddenly popped up and caused trouble. He hastily approached and said, "Little young master, you mustn't speak rashly. You're just a child, so how could you do such a thing? I understand you don't want them to take madam away, but Sai, even if you say all this, it's useless, because no one will believe you." Clearly, Chief Lu looked at Tang Tang like he was a child throwing a tantrum. Tang Tang glanced at Zhong. "I'm a child, so of course I wouldn't put this item inside Grandma's study for no reason. I did it because you told me to put it there." Upon hearing that, Yin Yuerong's gaze shot toward Zhong like a knife. Zhong told Tang Tang to put it in there. A moment ago, her mind was rattled, so she completely lost the ability to think and didn't consider Zhong at all. She merely recalled that Tang Tang was the only one who could enter her study. Perhaps because concern threw one's mind into chaos, Yin Yuerong's first assumption was that Tang Tang did this because he hated her and never considered that Tang Tang might have been tricked. Chapter 24:19, Did you think I was a feeble-minded child? Zhong expected Tang Tang to say that and made preparations beforehand, so he wasn't afraid. He feigned a stunned expression as he asked, "Little young master, you can't wildly say things like that. I've been with madam for so many years, and I'm undyingly loyal. Why would I tell you to do such a thing? Although I also really hope it was me who did this, so madam will be okay." Unfortunately, Chief Lu won't believe you even if you say that. As Zhong tried to clear his name, he didn't forget to express his loyalty and pretend to be a good person. "Humph, little brat. You want to drag me in? You're too naive." Words alone weren't proof. Plus, Tang Tang was a child, so what he said was completely useless. Yin Yuerong was also aware of that fact. However, it was enough. This child might loathe her but had a kind-hearted nature and couldn't bear it when he saw her being taken away. To her, it was already enough that Tang Tang could step forward and say what he said at a time like this. When Tang Tang heard Zhong, he looked at Zhong like he was looking at an idiot. "Zhong, don't tell me that you thought I was a feeble-minded child this whole time. Are you saying you aren't a child? Are you saying you're stupid?" Although Zhong thought that, he maintained his courteous front. "Of course not, little young master. You're naturally exceptionally intelligent, little young master." "Oh," Tang Tang nodded. "Since I'm not an idiot, then it appears you're the idiot. Why do you think I wouldn't be cautious when you acted completely out of character and used toys and snacks to tempt me to do a strange task?" The child's words made Zhong's heart indescribably skip a beat. This child's expression was truly too calm and didn't resemble a child who didn't know anything. However, Ah Zhong still didn't think such a young child could know anything. Moreover, it was useless even if he did. Ah Zhong feigned ignorance. "Little young master, what are you saying? I don't understand." Tang Tang docilely smiled. "It appears you aren't only idiotic but idiotic beyond cure." Tang Tang then dug out an object from his pocket and turned to Chief Lu. "I know words alone aren't proof, so this is my proof." Yin Yuerong immediately saw what Tang Tang was holding. That was the fountain pen I gave Tang Tang a few days ago. This child actually carried it on him constantly. "What is this?" Chief Lu frowned. Tang Tang pressed the power button on the pen and Ah Zhong's voice immediately drifted out from the pen. This pen was equipped with a recording function. "Ah Zhong, little little young master." Tang Tang, "Oh, it's you, Ah Zhong. Do you need something?" "Little young master, this is candy and toys I bought for you. See if you like them." "Little young master, do you want them?" "I can give all of these to you as long as you do me a tiny favor." Tang Tang expressionlessly asked, "Do you want to keep listening?" When Ah Zhong heard his own voice ringing out from the pen, he was dumbstruck. From his interactions with Tang Tang the past few days, Ah Zhong perceived Tang Tang as a cute and innocent bat who only knew how to act like a spoiled child and play cute. He never expected the child to be cunning enough to specifically record a random conversation he had with him. "Madam." "Chief Lu." "I was just randomly chatting with little young master." Ah Zhong finally panicked. Chief Lu shot him a cold glance. "Quiet. Keep listening." Soon, Tang Tang resumed the recording. Chapter 2420, Unforgettable Evidence Gathering Experience, What favor? "Little young master, can you help me place this item in a drawer inside Madam's study?" "Why don't you place it yourself?" Because Tang Tang clearly asked at that time, he meticulously recorded the whole process of how Ah Zhong cajoled him. The red, carved wooden box and celadone porcelain dish that Ah Zhong mentioned were identical to the ones they found in the study. Chief Lu's expression was austere as he seriously listened to this important piece of evidence. The more he heard, the more he thought. This servant named Ah Zhong was probably a bit dumb. The child had an underlying meaning in nearly every sentence he spoke, tricking information out of Ah Zhong, yet Ah Zhong didn't detect a single thing. "Little young master. I was afraid you'd do something wrong and anger her. I was afraid she'd punish you, which is why I carefully reminded you every time. Don't you know, little young master? Madam actually has a bad relationship with your dad and has done many, many terrible things to your dad and even kicked him out of the house. Madam also really hates your mom." When Yin Yuerong listened to how Ah Zhong got Tang Tang to frame her, her expression remained calm. However, when she heard Ah Zhong actually sowing discord in the relationship between her and Tang Tang, her expression changed at once. With a bang, Yin Yuerong kicked Ah Zhong on the knee. "Dog servant. A man who is never content is like a snake trying to swallow an elephant." When she saved him from the burial mounds, he was overflowing with gratitude toward her and devotedly loyal to her. However, a person's desires and greed were limitless. The better she treated him and the more she trusted him, the more it fostered his greed instead. Also, there was Yin Heng. It wasn't difficult for Yin Yuerong to figure out who was behind Ah Zhong. This thought sent her plunging into an ice cavern. "Ah!" Ah Zhong screamed from the kick and fell to his knees with a plop, rolling on the ground in agony. Yin Yuerong's spine was stiff as she stared intently at Tang Tang. When even a close servant of hers viewed her like this, what would Tang Tang think? No wonder Tang Tang helped Ah Zhong. At this moment, Tang Tang's chilly voice was finally heard from the recording pen. "No one would hate my mommy. But little young master, what I said is the absolute truth. If you don't believe me, you can go out and ask around. Everyone knows about this matter. Why should I go out and ask around? I just need to listen to what mommy tells me. Mommy told me grandma is a nice person, so grandma is a nice person. You're talking badly of grandma. You're a bad person." Yin Yuerong never expected Tang Tang to respond that way, shock brimming from her eyes. This child actually never hated me. When Auntie Chiao heard this, she felt comforted. She knew little young master wouldn't treat madam like that. As expected, a mother's guidance toward their child was most important. If Miss Nye didn't keep saying that to Tang Tang wouldn't maintain such naivety or his kind heart. As for Chief Lu and his underlings, they all couldn't help but inwardly mutter, Director C's fiancée actually praised Yin Yuerong as a good person. What a magical woman. Then Ah Zhong coaxed and pretended to be pitiful in all sorts of ways in the recording until Tang Tang seemed to finally soften and told Ah Zhong he would help if Ah Zhong agreed to a request from him. When Chief Lu and his group heard the request Tang Tang brought up, their expression was complicated. What was more frightening was, just like that, they were forced to listen to Madam is a beautiful and kind-hearted celestial maiden. Because they were worried they would miss some important evidence in the recording, everyone present forcefully listened to that 100 times. Toward the end, Chief Lu's expression couldn't be any darker. This was probably the most unforgettable piece of evidence he had gathered in his life. Chapter 24-21, Tang Tang will protect Grandma. If Yin Yuerong's heart felt sucked dry of water earlier, as dry as a desert, then Tang Tang saying, my grandma is a beautiful and kind-hearted celestial maiden, was like a timely rainfall after a long drought. A second ago, she felt like she was in hell, but now, she felt like she'd returned to the mortal world. This was the first time in her life that she felt redeemed. Merely because Tang Tang didn't hate her. This thought alone was enough to soothe all the darkness in her heart. Yin Yuerong gladly listened to it 100 times, but the others had different thoughts. Chief Lu nearly wanted to vomit blood. This sentence was akin to a devil's chant that continued to echo in his head still. Finally, they endured it all the way until Ah Zhong finished saying it. The exchange went a little longer, including all of Ah Zhong's instructions for Tang Tang, and completely solidified his crime of getting Tang Tang to put the ledger in Yin Yuerong's study. Chief Lu immediately ordered for Ah Zhong to be captured. The person who felt most tortured and the most despair was none other Ah Zhong. As he listened to the entire recording, he was a dumbstruck fool the entire time. Chief Lu turned to the child and unconsciously treated him like an adult, asking him as an equal, can I ask you a question? Please, Tang Tang replied. How did you know something was off and why did you start recording from the very beginning? Tang Tang blinked. A person who had always been mean to me suddenly secretly sought me out holding candy and toys and smiling like a chrysanthemum. Even a dummy would know something was off, right? Amen. That's irrefutable. Ah Zhong. How was that possible? This little brat realized something was wrong from the very beginning. Chief Lu asked with intrigue, since you knew something was wrong, why didn't you reject him directly? Tang Tang calmly explained, I knew he was up to no good, but I didn't know what he was doing so I just made the best of it and slowly probed for his objective and also retained evidence as a precaution. Thankfully, I always carry the pen Grandma gave me. If I rejected him from the start, he'd definitely think of another method to harm Grandma. That way, wouldn't my grandma constantly be in danger? I naturally wanted to expose his true nature somehow, but I also needed to ensure my grandma's safety. The little fella said everything matter-of-factly, all but asking, isn't that obvious? Chief Lu cleared his throat. That's right, that's right. You're correct, like father, like son. This child truly was Director C's son and Yin Yuerong's grandson. Just how stupid was this servant to underestimate and look down on this child? Chief Lu suddenly realized Yin Yuerong was still handcuffed and quickly ordered, ahem, hurry and release Director Yin already. His people hastened over and unlocked Yin Yuerong's shackles. Meanwhile, all that rang in Yin Yuerong's ears was the little fella's resolute voice saying, I needed to ensure my grandma's safety. Yin Yuerong leaned down. Tang Tang, Grandma. The little fella dashed over immediately and launched himself into his grandma's arms. He used his little hand to pat Yin Yuerong's hair as he comforted her. Grandma, don't be scared. Tang Tang's here. Tang Tang will protect Grandma. Yin Yuerong tightly hugged the little fella and closed her eyes, a teardrop falling down on his body. Thank you. Thank you for not hating Grandma. Thank you for staying here. This was Chief Lu's first time seeing such a warm side to Een Uerong and chuckled. Director Een, you have a good grandson. Chapter 24-22, A Happy Family Together. Unfortunately, that adopted son, Chief Lu continued, Director Een, forgive me for being blunt, but this servant couldn't have planned such an important matter or obtained such an important ledger. There must be someone else behind him. Een Uerong aloofly replied, I know. It could only be Een Heng. At this moment, Zhong finally realized his predicament and loudly started crying for help. Madam. Madam, I was wrong. It wasn't me. I didn't want to do this. It was young Master Een Heng. He's the one who ordered me to frame you. He's the one who thought of having me use little young master to put this item inside your study. He gave me this ledger. I'll tell you everything. Zhong knew he was completely finished, so he ratted Een Heng out without a pause. Een Uerong coldly looked at the ceaselessly begging Zhong without a trace of warmth in her eyes. She didn't even want to raise a single inquiry about why he betrayed her. Chief Lu, take him away, Een Uerong told him directly. Chief Lu responded, all right, I'll take him away now. I will continue to investigate things, including the people connected to this ledger. Please pardon us for the offenses earlier. You're being polite. Excuse us. Auntie Qiao, escort Chief Lu out. Madam. Madam, save me. I beg you to spare me. Spare me just this time. It was really young Master Een Heng who ordered me to do everything. Zhong's wails were cut off after the front door closed as he finally disappeared from Wanmei Villa. When Tang Tang saw Een Uerong pale as a piece of paper and somewhat absent-minded, he quickly helped her to sit down on a chair. Grandma, are you okay? Grandma's fine. Een Uerong was gentle. Don't be sad, Grandma. My mommy once taught me that people who can bear to hurt you aren't worth your sadness, Tang Tang comforted her. Een Uerong looked at the little fella and couldn't help but remember her Agio. In truth, as a mother, merely going by how well that girl, worryless Nya, raised Tang Tang, worryless Nya was 100 times stronger than her. Thank you, Tang Tang, Een Uerong said. Tang Tang responded with a smile, Grandma, we're family. When Een Uerong heard that, an ache filled her heart. Tang Tang, if I was really the same as described by outsiders, what would you do? The same as described by outsiders? Een Uerong finally told him the truth. I don't have a good relationship with your dad and mom. Because of some matters, there's a very large gap and conflict between us. She didn't want to deceive Tang Tang anymore. Tang Tang seriously mulled over it before honestly saying, Grandma, I don't know why you have a conflict, but I think you must both have your own reasons. Tang Tang understands, but Tang Tang would probably still be sad. Tang Tang looked up and quietly asked, Grandma, can't we be a happy family together? Een Uerong turned silent. A happy family together? What a foreign and distant concept for her. She knew her own personality well. Some things were engraved deep in her bones, and she wouldn't be able to change or forgive her entire life. When it came to the matter regarding the revision of the laws alone, as long as she and Agio couldn't reach an agreement, they would stand in opposition their entire lives. Chapter 24-23, This maneuver is too flashy. At the same time, Si Yihan and Yi Wanwan were urgently called over by Yi Lingjun all of a sudden. When they arrived, Yi Lingjun swiftly explained the incident at Een Uerong's villa to them. When I received the report, Chief Lu was already at Wanmei Villa. I was about to rush there when Chief Lu unexpectedly informed me I didn't need to since the matter had been resolved by my darling grandson, Tang Tang. At that time, after listening to Yi Lingjun's detailed explanation, both Si Yihan and Yi Wanwan were obviously surprised. Yi Lingjun proudly said, He's truly my grandson. He's too smart. You guys don't know, but Chief Lu praised him hundreds of times after coming back. He's so jealous of me. The corner of Yi Wanwan's lips twitched. Your grandson. Don't immerse yourself in the act so deeply, alright? What's so shocking about that? This is just par for the course for my baby Tang Tang. It's perfectly normal. Yi Wanwan gloatingly latched onto Si Yihan's arm. After all, my baby inherited his dad's intelligence. A smile flitted across Si Yihan's eyes. Yi Lingjun was at a loss for words. Praising her son was fine, but she didn't forget to praise her man along with it too. Oh right, come here, come here. I'll let you listen to something fun. Yi Lingjun secretively took out a recording pen from his drawer. What is it? Yi Wanwan leaned over curiously. You'll know when you hear it. It's my precious grandson's recording from Wanmei Villa. Yi Lingjun grinned. Tangtang's recording. Yi Wanwan glanced at him before taking the recording pen and pressing the play button. Si Yihan and Yi Wanwan soon heard the recording. At first, the contents were fairly normal. Tang Tang was angry about Zhong cajoling him, then they heard Tang Tang mention he had a request. Baby, what do you think our Tang Tang will request? Yi Wanwan murmured, intrigued. Si Yihan glanced at her and truthfully answered, I can't guess, but it probably wasn't something that this servant could easily accomplish. Yi Wanwan's ears perked up to continue listening, and then, the subsequent storyline completely collapsed. Say his grandma was a beautiful and kind-hearted celestial maiden 100 times. After Si Yihan and Yi Wanwan finished listening to Zhong repeat, Madam is a beautiful and kind-hearted celestial maiden, that many times, their expressions were indescribable. Not simple. It really wasn't simple. Yi Wanwan was beside herself with laughter. Ha 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 ha. My baby's maneuver was too flashy. Not bad, not bad. He really deserves to be my son. Biological without a doubt. He's seriously inherited all of my teachings. No, he surpassed his teacher. Yi Lingjun nodded enthusiastically. I finally understand why Director Yin likes that little fella this much. Just look at his EQ. After saying that, Yi Lingjun returned to business matters. Director C, please hand Yin Heng over to the arbitration council. He has deep ties with Qin Zong and we need to interrogate him. Si Yihan replied, okay. I will have him sent over. As Si Yihan spoke, his phone started ringing. It was a call from Lin Quebec. Si Yihan took the call and turned to Wanwan. Lin K said that Director Yin has sent Tang Tang back. Yi Wanwan was both shocked and joyful. What? Let's hurry back then. Okay, Si Yihan agreed. Yi Lingjun thought for a moment before saying, I will come too. If there are any conflicts, I can help mediate. Chapter 24-24, Very sweet. Yi Wanwan speechlessly glanced at Yi Lingjun. Why is he joining the fun? When Yi Lingjun tried to follow, Yi Wanwan hastily stopped him. What are you doing? Yi Lingjun looked at Yi Wanwan. Yi Wanwan smiled faintly. Dad, you attend to hundreds of important matters every day, so you don't need to concern yourself with these family matters. What are you saying? I do attend to important matters every day, but when it comes to family matters, don't these matters concern me too? Yi Lingjun asked. Yi Wanwan, Dad, you're right, but you should understand Ajio and Director Yin's relationship. It'll be difficult to talk with too many people there. Moreover, with Director Yin's personality, if you're there, she'll definitely talk business again, Yi Wanwan said with a hint of exasperation. The bill hearing is about to start, so you should prioritize matters relating to the bills first, President, Si Yihan said to Yi Lingjun. Yi Lingjun contemplated it before finally recognizing the fact that he was the president of the arbitration council. He then agreed to stay behind and not follow. Soon, Si Yihan and Yi Wanwan returned to Si Yihan's current residence. Ninth brother, you're finally back. Lin K was excited when he saw them, as though he found a straw to clutch at. God knew the repressiveness he felt while staying under the same roof as Yin Yuerong. He was so afraid that he'd evoke Yin Yuerong's anger with the smallest accident and subsequently make Yin Yuerong poison him to death. Every time he saw Yin Yuerong, at least he had ninth brother next to him to boost his courage. Where's Tang Tang? Yi Wanwan asked Lin Quebec. In the living room with Auntie Rong, Lin K replied. Si Yihan immediately headed toward the living room, his face devoid of any emotion. Yi Wanwan closely followed. She better not let Si Yihan and Yin Yuerong come into contact alone, or else with Si Yihan's EQ, the mere thought frightened her. Si Yihan had directly inherited Yin Yuerong's EQ. This duo's biggest similarity was how they managed to have a hand of beautiful cards yet had a rotten game. They were truly mother and son through and through. If Si Yihan had even a third of Tang Tang's EQ, his relationship with his mother absolutely wouldn't have deteriorated to this extent. Yi Wanwan soon followed Si Yihan to the living room. Yi Wanwan watched as Tang Tang held a piece of watermelon in his hand and lifted it to Yin Yuerong's mouth. Yin Yuerong furrowed her brows. She rarely ate sweet things. Grandma, this watermelon is very sweet. Tang Tang just tried some. Grandma, have a bite. Tang Tang looked up at Yin Yuerong, his eyes sparkling like stars. Yin Yuerong glanced at Tang Tang and couldn't stand to reject him, so she could only take a bite as Tang Tang wished. Is the watermelon sweet, Grandma? Tang Tang grinned. Very sweet, Yin Yuerong answered. Si Huaizhang never ate sweet things, so, she also rarely ever touched sweets all these years and even forgot the taste long ago. However, because of this child, she broke her rules again and again. She also discovered, she didn't dislike this. Grandma, you must eat more fruit from now on. Fruit have a lot of vitamins and are good for the body. Plus, fruit are very sweet. Tang Tang acted like an adult and spoke to Yin Yuerong solemnly. Yin Yuerong was silent for a moment before actually nodding lightly. Okay. This scene before her filled Yi Wanwan with thoughts. Look at this. This is the power of EQ. If Si Yihan also had EQ like Tang Tang's, he wouldn't have gotten to where he is. If I allow Si Yihan and Yin Yuerong, this mother and son duo who have extremely high IQ but EQ in the negatives, to interact with each other, won't that be the same as Mars colliding into the Earth? Chapter 24-25, Reluctance, Mommy. Before Tang Tang could say anything else, he caught sight of Yi Wanwan and Si Yihan standing at the door in his peripheral vision. He immediately dashed toward Yi Wanwan. Good Tang Tang. Yi Wanwan had nothing but adoration on her face. Eat some watermelon, Mommy. Tang Tang picked up a piece of watermelon for Yi Wanwan. Very sweet, Yi Wanwan praised the fruit happily after taking a few bites. Eat some watermelon, Grandma. Tang Tang handed the last piece of watermelon to Yin Yuerong. Si Yihan. Since you're back, I won't prolong my stay, Yin Yuerong said aloofly as she stood up. Yi Wanwan blinked and couldn't help but be surprised. Yin Yuerong really came to drop Tang Tang off. Back then, even if you beat her to death, she probably wouldn't believe that Yin Yuerong, who personally detained Tang Tang, would personally send him back to them. Hold on, Director Yin. Si Yihan turned to Yin Yuerong. The bill hearing is approaching. May I ask you what your thoughts are, Director Yin? Yi Wanwan looked at Si Yihan, stunned. This man's EQ had clearly improved recently, so why did it plummet to an all-time low as soon as he saw Yin Yuerong? Even if he wanted to change Yin Yuerong's mind, he shouldn't be so direct. Plus, this tone and attitude, what was he thinking? Yin Yuerong glanced at Si Yihan, her attitude not any better than his. I didn't come here today to discuss work with you. Moreover, there aren't any openings with me, so the future will be decided by how the proposed bill plays out. Is that so? Si Yihan asked coldly. At this moment, Yin Yuerong and Si Yihan faced off with their swords drawn, sending the bystanders into what felt like an ice cavern. Daddy. Tang Tang suddenly grasped Yin Yuerong's hand but looked at Si Yihan. Daddy, how can you speak to my grandma with this kind of attitude? Si Yihan, Yi Wanwan, Yin Yuerong, Grandma was framed by bad people earlier. Not only is Daddy not showing any concern for Grandma but he is also treating Grandma like this. Daddy's wrong, Tang Tang said. Si Yihan, Grandma, you must have not taught Daddy well. You have to teach Daddy properly from now on, Tang Tang then said as he turned to Yin Yuerong. Yin Yuerong, Si Yihan, as Yi Wanwan watched the mother and son duo that was rendered speechless by Tang Tang, she silently turned away and suppressed her laughter. Yin Yuerong cleared her throat. Tang Tang, Grandma will leave now. Yin Yuerong knelt down as she spoke and looked at the little fella, a rare trace of reluctance flashing through her eyes. All right. Tang Tang nodded. Following that, Yin Yuerong felt an inexplicable, indescribable sense of disappointment. She thought Tang Tang would ask her to stay longer. After she left this time, they might not have a chance to meet again. She had to get everything she wanted in her life. However, this child was the only person whom she didn't want to hate her. Even if the price was possibly never seeing him again. Mommy, Grandma and I will be leaving now. We'll come to see you again next time. Yin Yuerong was about to leave when Tang Tang turned around and said that to Yi Wanwan. An indescribable light flickered in Yin Yuerong's eyes when she heard Tang Tang. Aren't you going to go back with your dad and mom? Yin Yuerong asked hesitantly. Tang Tang blinked. Tang Tang and Mommy agreed that Tang Tang would stay with Grandma a few more days. Tang Tang can always spend time with Daddy and Mommy, but if Tang Tang returns to Yun City with Daddy and Mommy, while I can come to visit Grandma anytime I want, I won't be able to see Grandma every day. Chapter 24-26, Not a problem, we'll satisfy you. Yi Wanwan was amazed. Look at my son's EQ. She was originally worried about how she would clean things up if her parents found out the Yin family abducted Tang Tang and created a storm. Now it appeared she had nothing to worry about. What mother-in-law and daughter-in-law conflict did she have to be afraid about? What mother and son friction did she have to be afraid of? Yi Wanwan covertly gave baby Tang Tang a thumbs up. Awesome job, my baby Tang Tang. When Tang Tang saw his mommy praising him, happiness filled his starry eyes. After saying goodbye to his parents, Tang Tang led Yin Yuerong by the hand and started walking toward the front entrance. Grandma, let's go back. I'm hungry, alright. Yin Yuerong blindly followed the little fella's lead. She would never admit she had ever extravagantly wished for family. However, with a tug, this child's tiny hand tugged her into a warmth she could behold but couldn't obtain. I want Grandma's sweet and sour spare ribs, Tang Tang said. Okay. Yin Yuerong nodded. Grandma, I also want to eat tanghulu, and red braised pork, Tang Tang added. Under the watch of Yi Wanwan and Si Yihan, the grandmother and grandson duo left the manor. The first time, it was Yin Yuerong who forcefully detained Tang Tang. This time, it was Tang Tang who willingly followed Yin Yuerong home. A moment later, Yi Wanwan turned to Si Yihan, who seemed to be deep in thought. What are you doing? Yi Wanwan asked. Thinking about something. You should indeed think about why your mom treats Tang Tang like a treasure and treats you like some weed. Yi Wanwan sighed, her face exasperated. Si Yihan. Grandma, let's walk around. After leaving the manor, Tang Tang looked up as he made this suggestion to Yin Yuerong. The streets and alleys were bustling with people. Yin Yuerong didn't know how long it had been since she felt this alive. It was as if this was what life should feel like, a life she'd long been missing. Grandma, carry Tang Tang. Tang Tang's tired. Tang Tang extended his arms toward Yin Yuerong. Yin Yuerong took a long look at the boy in front of her and her lips turned up, revealing a never-seen-before warmth. She slowly bent down and tightly hugged Tang Tang. Yin Heng was soon taken away by the Arbitration Council for an investigation. At court, Yin Heng refused to plead guilty and pushed all the blame onto the servant, Ah Zhong. Ah Zhong was also a brainless fool and didn't keep any evidence back then and couldn't prove that it was Yin Heng who gave him the ledger. Since Yin Heng vehemently denied all faults, the court entered a stalemate. If they couldn't find Yin Heng guilty by the predetermined time, then Yin Heng would have to be released. You won't admit it? Fine. It's no problem, we'll satisfy you. Since Yin Heng denied any guilt, Yi Lingjun directly returned him to Si Yihan. Yin Heng was dumbfounded. He was confident that the arbitration council would release him if they didn't obtain any evidence, and he could flee immediately. He never expected Yi Lingjun to actually send him back to Si Yihan. Yin Heng initially wanted to negotiate with Si Yihan to be released but eventually realized a problem. It would be scarier if Si Yihan released him. He heard Yin Yuerong had people standing guard nearby. As soon as he was released by Si Yihan, Yin Yuerong's people would capture him. Yin Heng would currently rather be imprisoned at Si Yihan's place forever than ever leave. If he was locked in this wretched place, he would still be alive. But if he was released, Yin Yuerong wouldn't spare him. Chapter 24-27, Everybody's happy. Moreover, from the guard's conversation, Yin Heng learned that Yin Yuerong had ordered Auntie Rong to ask Si Yihan for him. However, this time, they weren't retrieving him to save him, it was to take his life away. The fear that plagued Yin Heng couldn't be described with words anymore. No matter what, he couldn't end up in Yin Yuerong's hands. He absolutely couldn't. Inside the dungeon, Yin Heng watched the man he hated striding inside. He concealed all the dissatisfaction on his face and put on a front. Elder brother, right now, he didn't care about anything. Nothing was more important than his life. Si Yihan apathetically stared at Yin Heng. Congratulations on regaining your freedom. What? Si Yihan is really releasing me? Yin Heng's face dropped immediately. Regaining his freedom? No, he didn't want his freedom. He was willing to stay in this place forever, even if it meant being a prisoner. Yin Heng believed that Si Yihan was well aware Yin Yuerong absolutely wouldn't give him any chance of survival after he was released. Si Yihan wanted him to die. You can reunite with mother soon, Si Yihan added aloofly. No. Elder brother, it's quite nice here. I don't need to go out yet. Yin Heng vehemently shook his head. It's not up to you. After saying that, Si Yihan ordered his men to drag Yin Heng out of the dungeon and evict him. Within 15 minutes of Yin Heng being kicked out, Auntie Rong appeared and ordered her people to take Yin Heng away. A problem that originated from the Yin family naturally had to be resolved by the Yin family themselves. Everyone knew that there wouldn't be a wisp of news of Yin Heng in the independent state from today onward. This person would disappear forever. He was merely an orphan who was brought home and personally nurtured by Yin Yuerong. He managed to climb to this position today, but his ambition grew bigger and bigger. Not only did he attempt to shove away the rightful master, but he also conspired with outsiders behind Yin Yuerong's back and even wanted to send Yin Yuerong to her death. No one felt a trace of sympathy for Yin Heng's fate. Inside Si Yihan's manor, Yi Wanwan released a sigh of relief and looked at Si Yihan. Your mom wanted you to release Yin Heng but you refused to do so. Who were you throwing a tantrum for? Isn't it great that you released him? This way, everybody's happy. Auntie Qiao visited them many times in the hopes that Si Yihan would free Yin Heng but was rejected every time. In the end, Yi Wanwan couldn't stand it anymore and forced Si Yihan to release the man. Of course, while they were releasing Yin Heng, to put it plainly, they were merely delivering Yin Heng into Yin Yuerong's hands. A few days later, the summit reached its end, and the yearly bill revision hearing would finally begin. The majority of the people who would attend the bill revision hearing were directors and higher-ups from the arbitration council. However, they also allowed a limited number of audience members. Due to her connection with Yi Lingjun, Yi Wanwan could also attend as an observer. The bill hearing was everything but harmonious. Due to all kinds of proposed law revisions, the arbitration council's higher-ups and directors were quarreling non-stop, their faces flushed with anger. The 12 independent states had an extremely large number of laws and regulations, and minor adjustments had to be made every year. Because some bill revisions could violate people's principles, arguments were unavoidable. After all, everyone possessed different opinions. Disputes could be heard all morning. It wasn't until Yi Lingjun spoke that the atmosphere loosened up a tiny degree. Alright, recently, the matter regarding residents of the independent state marrying outsiders has evoked quite a few incidents. This is a rule that has been passed down since ancient times. I would like to listen to everyone's opinions on whether this rule is reasonable or not and whether we need to make revisions or not. Around the evening, Yi Lingjun interjected. Chapter 24-28. Following Yi Lingjun's words, the room turned quiet. Everyone knew Yi Lingjun intended to revise this rule. If they opposed, wouldn't that be the same as singing a different tune from him? Moreover, even if they put aside the matter of offending the president and director C, this rule alone contained many unreasonable flaws. President E, as you said, this is a law passed down from ancient times. Ancient times are ancient times, and modern times are modern times. What era are we in now? I think that we should revise such an inhumane law. No, we should abolish it, a director responded with a light chuckle. Yes, Director Zhou is right. People in ancient times would say that a person's marriage is dictated by their parents, but what era are we in now? Who doesn't know that people are free to marry and love whoever they want? Isn't it strange to use such an antiquated rule to restrict young people's romantic lives? I think that this law should be abolished or else we'll eventually have a big problem on our hands. Amongst the 12 directors present, including Si Yihan, 11 directors agreed to abolish this rule, leaving Yin Yuerong the only one who hadn't spoken yet. However, if they wanted to abolish a law, it had to be passed unanimously without a single objection. So what does Director Yin think? Yi Lingjun asked as he turned to Yin Yuerong some time later. Everyone's gazes landed on Yin Yuerong. Who didn't know the relationship between Si Yihan and his mother was akin to fire and water? Si Yihan fully supported the abolishment of this law, and the debate was initiated by Si Yihan. How could Yin Yuerong pass this rule? It was absolutely impossible. Yi Wanwan's heart also raised to her throat. She hoped a miracle would happen. Apologies, but I don't agree, Yin Yuerong expressionlessly said, looking at Yi Lingjun. Si Yihan deeply furrowed his eyes. Director Yin, Director Si, I hope you won't interrupt when I'm speaking, Yin Yuerong coldly rebuked. Then, Yin Yuerong turned back to Yi Lingjun and continued, if it exists, then there's a reason for it. I won't doubt our ancestors' wisdom, so I don't agree. Disappointment filled Yi Wanwan. However, even if it didn't pass this year, there was still next year. If they put more work into it, perhaps they could change Yin Yuerong's mind. She merely hoped elder brother wouldn't be so impulsive again. His relationship with Ling Miao would definitely have a good ending. Alright, let's vote to decide then, everyone, Yi Lingjun finally said. Everyone was at a loss for words. Yin Yuerong's attitude was crystal clear, so continuing to vote was superfluous. However, they still had to follow the process. 11 directors voted in favor. Where's your vote, Director Yin? Yi Lingjun inquired when he saw that Yin Yuerong didn't move. I won't vote this year, Yin Yuerong replied. Won't vote? What do you mean? Yi Lingjun was bewildered. I'm abstaining, Yin Yuerong said expressionlessly. Everyone, including Si Yihan and Yi Wanwan, was startled. She was abstaining. Don't you object to this? Yi Lingjun was astonished. Is there a definite connection between me objecting and abstaining? Yin Yuerong retorted. No. There aren't any connections. Yi Lingjun smiled. Alright, since Director Yin is abstaining, this means we've passed unanimously. After the hearing adjourns, please abolish this law prohibiting marriage with an outsider, Director Zhou. Understood, Director Zhou answered. Chapter 24-29. The session finally concluded. This was going to be the most meaningful session in the history of the independent states. Soon, the news would spread through all 12 independent states. After leaving the Arbitration Council building, Yin Yuerong lifted her head and gazed at the blue sky above her. In her life, she spent the first half pursuing Si Huaizhang and the latter half pursuing power. She had never obtained happiness in her life and never lived for herself. Now, she was tired. Although she did something that went against her principles and desires, she had never been this relaxed and tranquil. It turned out that compromising didn't mean failure sometimes. It led to a whole new world instead. As soon as the news was released, Yi Wanwan immediately texted nameless Nia and informed him of this good news. As she walked out, she mused to herself, this result is seriously too shocking. I guessed that your mom definitely wouldn't agree, but I didn't expect her to actually abstain. I was prepared for a long battle. I also didn't expect this, Si Yihan said. Recently, Yin Yuerong had done too many things that differed from his understanding of her. The two of them had just stepped out of the building when they caught sight of Yin Yuerong waiting for her car in front of the entrance. Silence dawned on the three of them. None of them knew what to say. At this moment, a black car pulled up, and Yin Yuerong's driver arrived, finally breaking this awkward silence. Yin Yuerong looked away and made her way to her car. Before entering her car, Yin Yuerong suddenly paused and turned around to look at them. Her gaze landed on Si Yihan as she said, Ajio, in truth, Mommy looked forward to your birth the whole time. You were born carrying all of Mommy's hopes. Si Yihan's pupils contracted. Yin Yuerong had never said any of this to him. It's just. I've been too cowardly all these years. I was trapped by my failed relationship and life and wanted to imprison you in this lightless prison with me. I wanted you to stay in the darkness with me. Yin Yuerong peered up and stared at her son, a sad smile spreading on her face. Ajio, in truth, Mommy was just too lonely. I'm sorry, Ajio. As Si Yihan listened to Yin Yuerong, his hands clenched into tight fists. Yi Wanwan reached out and gently grasped his lightly trembling hand. In reality, Si Yihan might not vocalize it, but his mother had always been the scar on his heart. Si Yihan never understood how a mother could treat her biological child that cruelly. At first, he still held hopes and wanted to know why, but he was disappointed again and again. Eventually, he finally stopped asking and stopped holding any hopes. However, in the depths of his heart, what he desired the most was this explanation from Yin Yuerong. And the balm for the scar in his heart was simply the two words, I'm sorry. Yin Yuerong glanced at the girl next to Si Yihan. Ajio, you have better taste than Mommy. After saying that, Yin Yuerong got into her car and the car started driving, disappearing from sight. Yi Wanwan held Si Yihan's hand and softly said, I was wondering earlier why Tang Tang was able to change Yin Yuerong so much, but now, I suddenly understand. It's probably because of love. Yin Yuerong's icy demeanor was changed because of love and was melted and transformed again by love. Chapter 24:30. After the session ended, Yi Wanwan and Si Yihan invited Yi Lingjun for dinner, a farewell meal of sorts. They originally planned to head back tomorrow, but they received news from Yun City. Because Yi Wanwan and Tang Tang had been gone for too long, nameless Nia couldn't hide it anymore and Dad and Mom learned they went to Yun City. Hence, the family of three started their journey back to Yun City. After arriving in Yun City, Si Yihan led Wanwan and Tang Tang to visit Grandpa first and inform him about everything that happened during this period of time. The outcome proved that Si Yihan's decision was correct. Alright, I understand. I also understand your intention behind visiting me today. I'll help you make a trip to your parents. Thank you, Grandpa. You're the best. Yi Wanwan happily threw her arms around her grandpa's shoulders. Oh right, Grandpa, don't worry about Si Xia. Thankfully we stopped him in time, so he didn't cause too great an impact. After some imprisonment, he'll be released and expelled from the independent state. It's already good that his life was preserved. Grandpa sighed. Moreover, Si Xia had lived in China longer than the independent state, so he was actually more suited for life in China. After chatting with Grandpa a little longer, nameless Nia quickly came to pick them up. Sister! You're finally back. Nameless Nia exclaimed as he ran toward Tang Tang and looked him up and down. Thank God, thank God. It's fine as long as this little ancestor is fine. After saying that, the more he looked, the more something felt off. He reached out and pinched the little fella's cheeks. Why does it seem like Tang Tang is chubbier? Wasn't he kidnapped? I thought he'd go down a size. Why is his face rounder instead? Tang Tang disdainfully slapped away nameless Nia's hand and emphasized every word carefully, watch your words. Nameless Nya was already very satisfied he got to pinch his nephew's cheeks, so he didn't dare to keep acting suicidally. He turned to Si Yihan. Thank you so much for this, brother-in-law. Ling Miao is still bedridden, so I'll help her thank you and Wan Wan. It was my duty, Si Yihan replied. Nameless Nya clapped his chest and promised Si Yihan, don't worry, brother-in-law. I've taken charge of your marriage with my sister. I fully support you guys. I'll help you persuade Dad and Mom, I'll help you book your wedding and banquet, and I'll help you fight in the van when we're escorting the bride. No one will dare to stop you from entering. I'll help you stand guard on your wedding night. I'll break the legs of whoever dares to prank you newlyweds. You just need to happily marry my sister. Cheer surfaced in Si Yihan's eyes. Thank you. As Yi Wan Wan listened from her spot in the car, her expression darkened. Hey! You're getting more and more ridiculous. And look at your elbow. Isn't it about to break from how far out you're twisting it? Just who is your family member here, huh? Nameless Nya instantly said disapprovingly, Sister, what are you saying? What do you mean I'm twisting my elbow out, one? Aren't we all family? Anyway, aren't I doing this to help you? Don't you want to successfully marry brother-in-law? I haven't even billed you for this 5-star one-stop service. Yi Wan Wan, you win. Half an hour later, the car finally reached the Nya residence. Baby Tang Tang fell asleep in the car, so Yi Wan Wan first carried him to his room upstairs and got him settled before going back downstairs. When she returned to the downstairs living room, Si Yihan, Nameless Nya, Grandpa, and her parents were all present. Nya Huili and Madame Nya were both looking at Yi Wan Wan and Si Yihan unhappily and only kept themselves from flying off the handle since their father was there too. 1. A Chinese idiom for helping outsiders instead of family. Chapter 24:31 Madame Nya reproached her. Wan Wan, just what were you doing? You ran off to such a dangerous place alone. What would you have done if something bad happened? Did you want to scare Dad and Mom to death? Yi Wan Wan was most afraid of this type of situation. Mom, before Yi Wan Wan could finish, Nameless Nya immediately said, Didn't I tell you, Mom? Wan Wan just went to Tianshui City to visit her master, Yi Ling Jun, also known as President Yi. What could possibly happen to her? Plus, Wan Wan helped expose Qin Zong's true nature and accomplished a great deal. Madame Nya instantly glared at him. You have the nerve to talk. I haven't started with you. Tang Tang was captured by that Yin family and nearly encountered a mishap, but you actually helped them cover up everything until now? Nameless Nya didn't wait for Yi Wan Wan and Si Yihan to speak and directly helped them explain. Mom, first, Tang Tang was captured by Yin Heng, which technically doesn't have anything to do with the Yin family. And Yin Heng has now been expelled from the Yin family, so he definitely doesn't have anything to do with the Yin family. Second, your precious grandson is perfectly fine. Didn't you see how Tang Tang's face is a size chubbier after coming back? It was all from being fed by his grandma. His grandma seriously likes him. Did you see that truck outside? It was Yin Yuerong who made us bring back that whole truck of snacks and toys. If it weren't for my sister stopping her, Yin Yuerong would have probably emptied all the snack stores and toy stores in Tianshui City, Madame Nya. Although she didn't really believe her son, she did see that Tang Tang was indeed a lot chubbier and his little face was also round and flushed. Nya Huili cleared his throat and was about to say his piece as the head of the family. Mr. C, I have some words. However, he'd just started when Wan Wan's grandpa took a sip of tea from his spot on the sofa and casually interjected. If there aren't any problems, then Worryless and Ajio's marriage has been decided. Nya Huili was stunned, his entire speech cut off. Madame Nya hastily said, Dad, isn't this marriage too reckless? We should give the matter further thought. The elderly man sent his daughter a displeased look. Tang Tang's already so big, so how should we give it further thought? Do you want Tang Tang to forever hold a title as an illegitimate child? When Madame Nya heard this, she became hesitant. Nya Huili deliberated his words for a moment before saying, You've also seen Yin Yuerong's attitude. Even if she didn't harm Tang Tang this time, she probably still doesn't agree to this marriage. At that point, we can't be lacking even a marriage proposal. The elderly man aloofly said, I don't think that's necessary as long as the two children are willing. When you married my daughter, forget about a marriage proposal, but there wasn't even a wedding. Nia Huili was instantly rendered speechless. Instant KO. Madame Nia immediately played the mediator. Dad, Huali just has worryless well-being in mind. Marriage is a big deal, after all. Oh right, there's also Tang Tang. How about we wait until Tang Tang wakes up tomorrow to ask the child for his opinion? After all, Mr. C was gone for so many years and was missing from Tang Tang's side. The child needs some time to accept him. Since her father cared about Tang Tang so much, Madame Nia decided to start with Tang Tang. She could tell that Tang Tang somewhat rejected Si Yihan, this father who appeared out of nowhere. When Si Yihan heard this, ripples appeared in his face, which had been calm this whole time. Yi Wanwan astutely noticed Si Yihan's expression and inwardly sighed. She found so many opportunities for them to spend time together. Don't tell me he still hasn't won over our son. Chapter 2432. When the elderly man heard his daughter's suggestion, he hummed in thought. At this time, footsteps were heard from the stairs. Baby Tang Tang foggily ran down in his fuzzy cartoon pajamas. When Madame Nia saw that Tang Tang had woken up, she immediately stood up, distraught. You're awake, Tang Tang. Did we wake you up? The little fella rubbed his sleepy eyes and walked towards Si Yihan on the sofa in his rabbit slippers. He extended his short little arms towards Si Yihan and gluttonously said, Hug, Daddy. Si Yihan froze in his spot for a moment before regaining his senses and reaching out to embrace the soft child who smelled like milk. Daddy, Tang Tang had a nightmare, the little fella sulkily complained as he buried his head into his dad's arms. Si Yihan carefully hugged the dumpling in his arms and gently patted his back. He comforted Tang Tang a bit sloppily. It's nothing. Nightmares are all fake. Only then did the little fella feel relieved. He closed his eyes and fell asleep again. The living room was oddly quiet. Patriarch Nia and Madame Nia didn't speak a word as they watched this scene. It appears Tang Tang is getting along nicely with Ajio, the elderly man said. This time, Patriarch Nia and Madame Nia had no rebuttal. And so, the matter was settled just like that. Si Yihan carefully carried Tang Tang upstairs, and Yi Wanwan also followed. After entering Tang Tang's room, Si Yihan gently placed the little fella on the bed and covered him with the comforter. Si Yihan and Yi Wanwan were about to leave when baby Tang Tang suddenly opened his eyes and called out, Mommy. Yi Wanwan turned back around in surprise and saw her son's eyes, which didn't contain a trace of sleepiness. Baby? You aren't sleeping. Hug, Mommy. Yi Wanwan quickly hugged the little fella. Mommy, did Tang Tang perform well? Of course. Baby was too awesome. Yi Wanwan smacked a kiss on the eager little fella's cheek and didn't know whether to cry or laugh. She thought Tang Tang was finally getting attached to Si Yihan, but who knew the little fella was just trying to help them tackle her parents. Yi Wanwan praised him, You performed very well. You guys acted like a real father and son. Baby Tang Tang, Mommy, we really are father and son though. Si Yihan also added, We really are father and son. Yi Wanwan, alright, fine, it was a slip of the tongue on her part. It wasn't her fault these two acted so awkward around each other. At night, due to the little fella's request, Yi Wanwan and Si Yihan stayed and slept with him. With baby Tang Tang and Si Yihan by her side, Yi Wanwan quickly entered dreamland. Si Yihan gently looked at his son next to him. Are you asleep? Tang Tang immediately opened his eyes. Of course he hadn't slept yet. Mommy was finally sleeping with him, so he couldn't bear to fall asleep so fast. You need something? Tang Tang inquired with his eyes. Can I ask you the reason why? Si Yihan asked. Although Si Yihan didn't say it explicitly, baby Tang Tang seemed to immediately understand what the man was asking him. Si Yihan was asking Tang Tang why he didn't like him. Baby Tang Tang peered at his mommy next to him, his pink cheeks puffing up and his lips pursing, as though he thought of something very unhappy. Si Yihan didn't pressure him and merely waited silently. An unknown amount of time passed before little fella finally unwillingly answered, because mommy likes you more, mommy likes him more, which is greater than her like of me. Shock flitted through Si Yihan's eyes. He seriously didn't know whether to cry or laugh. He never expected this to be the reason why the little fella scorned him. He truly didn't know whether to be happy or exasperated. In terms of possessive behavior, his son deeply inherited this without a doubt. Chapter 24:33. The next morning, Si Yihan went back first. Then Yi Wanwan had a sincere conversation with her parents, and Madame Nia and Patriarch Nia's oppositional attitude finally lessened. Of course, with Grandpa supporting them, her parents' opposition wasn't all that important anyway. After eating lunch, Yi Wanwan intended to go find Si Yihan to discuss some matters. "Mommy, are you going out?" Baby Tang Tang stood up immediately when he saw mommy appearing to leave. Yi Wanwan patted the little fella on the head. "Yeah. Where are you going?" Tang Tang asked. "Your dad's." When Tang Tang heard this, nervousness appeared in his large eyes. "When are you coming back?" "I need to discuss something with your dad, so it might take a while." "Oh," the little fella was clearly unhappy. "Be good, baby. Mommy will try to come back to keep you company as fast as I can. Or how about you come with mommy?" Yi Wanwan furtively suggested. "No." The little fellow was resolute. Yi Wanwan didn't know whether to cry or laugh. "Did you get into a fight with daddy?" Tang Tang's little face froze. "No." Since she couldn't get any answers from her son, Yi Wanwan could only go and visit Si Yihan first. In Azura's garden, when Yi Wanwan arrived, Si Yihan was looking at a thick album. Yi Wanwan casually peeked at it and discovered it was an album of wedding dresses. Si Yihan saw Yi Wanwan coming over and an awkwardness flitted across his face lightning fast. He calmly closed the album and asked, "Everything good still? What problem could we have with Grandpa there? Plus, since my brother and baby Tang Tang helped out and I pleaded some more with my parents, everything's been taken care of." Yi Wanwan replied. "Oh right, Ajo, what's going on with you and Tang Tang? Did you say something to him last night? Why do I feel like Tang Tang likes you less?" Si Yihan's expression didn't reveal anything. "It's nothing." Yi Wanwan narrowed her eyes. "How could there be nothing? Something must have happened. I told Tang Tang I was coming to your place this morning, and the little fellow was absolutely resentful. I asked him if he wanted to come with me, and he refused." Si Yihan glanced at her before saying, "Last night, I asked Tang Tang why he didn't like me." Yi Wanwan's eyes lit up. She really wanted to know the answer to this question. "So how did Tang Tang reply?" "Tang Tang said it was because you liked me more." Yi Wanwan, sweat drop. She thought Tang Tang must have had some special reason. She never expected this. Yep, they were truly father and son without a doubt. Yi Wanwan hastily asked, "How did you respond?" For some reason, an ominous feeling rose inside of her. Si Yihan said, "I told him you were my wife, so of course you'd like me more." Haha, Yi Wanwan had no idea what to say. He deserved it. It wasn't wrong at all for him to be disliked by Tang Tang. Yi Wanwan facepalmed. "Couldn't you have sweet-talked him?" Si Yihan glanced at her. "I was telling the truth." After saying that, he even intently stared at her with a, "Or do you think I wasn't telling the truth?" expression. How could Yi Wanwan dare to say it wasn't the truth? This guy seriously rendered her speechless. Yi Wanwan could only sigh. She hastily replied, yes, you're right. It's the truth, it's the truth. I like you the most." Chapter 24:34. From the corner of her eye, Yi Wanwan caught a glimpse of the album sitting on the table in front of Si Yihan, and her eyes turned. She didn't expect Si Yihan to secretly look at wedding dresses by himself. Of course she'd choose to leave it alone, not. That was impossible. Yi Wanwan leaned over with a grin and pretended to nonchalantly open the album. Baby, are you looking at wedding dresses? Which one do you like? As Yi Wanwan spoke, her eyes focused on a fairly extravagant antique-style dress. Oh, I think this one is quite nice. What do you think? Si Yihan glanced at it. I've reserved this style already. You also prefer this one? Yi Wanwan blinked in surprise. Then she kept flipping through the album before stopping and pointing at a white mermaid dress. This one is also nice. I also reserved this one. Yi Wanwan looked up in shock. You predicted what I'd like again. You're really my baby. You know me the best. But, this silver voluminous skirt one is also pretty. It's so hard to choose. The wedding dresses in this album were classic creations from famous designers all around the world, so every single one of them was pretty. Yi Wanwan only flipped for a little bit before she turned dizzy from the choices. Si Yihan calmly said, I reserved it. She picked 3 dresses in a row and Si Yihan had clairvoyantly reserved all of them. Yi Wanwan looked up again in surprise. Baby, are our hearts really that linked? I reserved every dress in this album, Si Yihan replied. Yi Wanwan was stunned, and her lips started twitching unceasingly. So this guy was saying he bought every single dress in this top-notch wedding dress catalog? Was it true that the best solution for indecisiveness was to buy everything? Yi Wanwan was at a loss for words. Why did you buy so many? Is it because your vinegar factory is going out of business, so you're switching paths and opening a wedding dress boutique? Si Yihan's bewitching eyes glowed stunningly as he suddenly leaned forward and kissed her on the lips. In between breaths, he said, I want you to wear every single one for me. Yi Wanwan. Yi Wanwan's heart pounded so fast that it felt like she'd just fought a life or death battle with piece of shit. She really didn't expect this answer. Life was seriously full of ups and downs. Who would have known she'd be seduced by Si Yihan to this point? Yi Wanwan clutched her boiling cheeks. Ahem, didn't you buy too many? How long will it take for me to wear all of them? Si Yihan gently played with the strands of dark hair drifting by her ears. Is that a lot? After all, I'm only marrying once in my whole life, so you can take your time wearing them. Yi Wanwan, you win. Oh right, I nearly forgot to talk business with you. I came here because I wanted to discuss something with you. For our wedding, I might not hold it using my identity as Worryless Nya. We might also not hold it in the independent state, Yi Wanwan said after deliberating her words for a moment. Si Yihan didn't seem to have any objection to this and directly agreed. Sure. You can hold it wherever you want with whichever identity you choose. Of course, it's also fine if you want to hold a wedding with every single identity. I can take back what I just said about only marrying once. Yi Wanwan. But I don't want to marry that many times. Thank you very much. If she added up her aliases with his aliases, how long would all the weddings take if they married using every single one of their aliases? Chapter 2435 If they held a wedding using every single one of their aliases, she'd probably have to spend the rest of her life in an endless stream of weddings. When Yi Wanwan saw that Si Yihan was seriously considering this, terror filled her, and she quickly reined the topic back on course. Ahem, hold it, hold it. What are you thinking? Who'd hold that many weddings? I just want to hold our wedding using Yi Wanwan's identity in China, alright? Yi Wanwan hastily said. Si Yihan looked at her. We naturally have to hold a wedding in China, but the independent state, Yi Wanwan didn't dare to let him finish speaking and interrupted him at once. It's very simple. We'll invite all of our friends and family from the independent state to China. I've already told my parents and my grandpa, and they all respect our decision. After the law was revised, there were much fewer restrictions between China and the independent state, and visits in between them were very easy. Si Yihan furrowed his brows. Are you sure you don't want to hold several more weddings in the independent state? Hold, several more. Yi Wanwan glowered. Calm down a little, baby. Si Yihan aloofly glanced at her. I'm very calm. Yi Wanwan, calm your ass. Do you very calmly want to hold 100 weddings? A few days later, Yi Wanwan and Si Yihan boarded a plane to China. Yi Wanwan's original intention for coming to the independent state was to figure out her identity and background. Now that everything was revealed and she found out who she was, she naturally had to go back and give Dad, Mom, and Yi Mufan an explanation. In the years that her memory was replaced, she lived in China as Yi Wanwan. During these years, she completely treated herself as Yi Wanwan. Although this identity was fake, the interactions and bonds from this time were real. There were many people in China waiting for her, waiting for Yi Wanwan. She definitely had to go back and explain everything that needed to be explained. Otherwise, it'd be unfair to her people in China. Perhaps it was because proximity increased trepidation that despite having made mental preparations beforehand and deliberating every single word in her explanation, Yi Wanwan still unavoidably felt nervous when the plane landed. During these years, Dad Yi and Mom Yi spoiled her with love and she also considered them as her family, even her Khan brother, Yi Mufan. In truth, she didn't know how to reveal such a cruel truth to them. She didn't know how to tell them the daughter by their side wasn't actually their daughter. Their biological daughter had died in that explosion many years ago, and even her remains were lost. If they were unable to accept this, then her only choice was to strip herself from this identity that didn't belong to her forever. Probably detecting the girl's mood, Si Yihan gently patted her on the head. Wanwan, while Yi Wanwan was lost in thought, Yi Mufan's exhilarated voice bursted from the arrival reception area. Next to Yi Mufan, Yi Xiaoting and Liang Wanjun had also come and were eagerly sifting through the throngs of arriving passengers. As soon as they saw her, their eyes lit up. Dad! Mom! Brother! Yi Wanwan sprinted toward the three of them while Si Yihan stayed behind her, pulling her luggage. Wanwan! Liang Wanjuan's eyes reddened when she saw her daughter, and she tightly hugged Yi Wanwan. I'm glad you're back. I'm glad you're back. Chapter 2436 Liang Wanjun closely examined this both strange and incredibly familiar girl who she hadn't seen for many days. Her fragile shoulders were slightly trembling as she said, Wanwan, Mom thought. Mom thought you'd never come back. Yi Xiaoting was also beside himself with excitement and turned around to wipe his tears when he heard his wife. Yi Wanwan's eyes turned teary. She faintly felt something was off about Liang Wanjuan's words, but due to the storm of thoughts inside her mind, she didn't think too much about it. She quickly replied, Mom, what nonsense are you spouting? Why would I never come back? I'm your precious daughter. I still need to stay with you for the rest of my life. When Liang Wanjun heard that, she couldn't hold back her tears any longer, and they gushed out. Wanwan, Yi Xiaoting clapped Liang Wanjuan's shoulders. All right, don't cry. Isn't our child back? Look at you, don't scare our child. Yi Mufan also quickly started to comfort her. That's right, isn't Wanwan back now? Let's go home first to talk. Mom, let's go home. Yes. Yes. Go home. At Golden Seas, soon, the family drove back to the mansion. Wanwan, where are you planning to live since you're back? Liang Wanjun asked with a tinge of nervousness. Yi Wanwan looped her arms around Liang Wanjuan's arm. I'll live at home. I want to spend more time with you. Good. A bright smile filled Liang Wanjuan's face. Mufan, hurry and put your sister's luggage in her room. I know. Yi Mufan resentfully grumbled. Mom, I'm not talking bad, but the number of times you've smiled since you've seen my sister is more than the number of times you've smiled at me in an entire month. Liang Wanjun shot him a reproachful look. Your sister is so well-behaved and clever and sensible and has such an outstanding boyfriend, but what about you? You haven't brought even a shadow home. Yi Mufan was speechless. Mom, why are you launching a personal attack on me? Why about all the girls I've brought home before? Where do you get the face to mention the past? What kind of people did you bring home every day, huh? If it weren't for your sister looking after you, you probably wouldn't even have your pants left from being conned by those atrocious women. Yi Mufan's expression was as dark as the bottom of a pan. Mom, these are blatant double standards. My sister was clearly more horrible than me before. Her taste in men was 100 times vile than my taste in women, alright? Liang Wanjun pinched Yi Mufan by his ears without demur. How can you say that about your sister? Yi Xiaoting also glared at his son. Damn punk, is your skin itchy for a beating? As Yi Wanwan watched the conversation between this family of three, a sense of déjà vu hit her. The similarities between this and the conversations between her real parents and nameless Nia were stunning. However, as Yi Wanwan watched them joking around harmoniously as a warm family, she recalled the words she needed to say later and found it harder to say them. After setting down the luggage, the family sat down on the couches in the living room. Do Yanran, Gong Su, and the others know about you coming back? Yi Mufan asked. I haven't told them yet. I'm planning to secretly surprise them later. Yi Wanwan replied. Oh right, the script you picked for Gong Su was quite nice. He can probably contend for an award overseas this time. Yi Mufan said. Oh. Yanran is also quite outstanding. Her journey has been very smooth and she isn't troublesome at all. I wasn't worried about Yanran, of course. Chapter 2437. After a round of chatting, Yi Mufan sensed Yi Wanwan's absent-mindedness and asked, What are you thinking about? Why are you so distracted? Liang Wanjun quickly inquired, Wanwan, are you too tired? How about you go to your room and rest? Yi Wanwan shook her head. No. In the end, Yi Wanwan took a deep breath before pulling out a document file from her bag and looking at Liang Wanjun, Yi Xiaoting, and Yi Mufan. Dad, Mom, brother, I actually came back this time because I have a very important matter to confess to you. Liang Wanjun's fingers clenched and she glanced at Yi Xiaoting. Very important matter. Yi Xiaoting gently patted Liang Wanjun's hand before looking at Yi Wanwan and asking, What is it, Wanwan? Yi Mufan frowned deeply. Just what is it? Why are you so solemn? Don't tell me. Yi Mufan's gaze shifted between Yi Wanwan and Si Yihan before landing on the document file in her hand. Don't tell me you have an accident from your wildness? Yi Wanwan, you aren't premaritally pregnant, right? Is that a physical exam from the hospital? Are you distracted because you're afraid Dad and Mom will beat you? Yi Mufan's fairly tightly packed hypothesis dissipated all of Yi Wanwan's suppressed grim emotions. She was rendered speechless. Even Si Yihan's expression was difficult to describe. As soon as Yi Mufan spoke, Liang Wanjun harshly slapped him on the head. Damn punk, what nonsense are you spouting? Do you think Wanwan is as inappropriate as you? Yi Xiaoting also agreed. Even if Wanwan really was pregnant, that'd be a wonderful thing. Yi Mufan's expression was dark as he grumbled in displeasure at once. Dad, you were just telling me last month that you'd break my legs if I dared to get a girl pregnant before marriage. Yi Xiaoting said, I did say that. Is there a problem with that? Yi Mufan choked, disbelief filling him. He grievously whispered, I see it now. Between Wanwan and I'm actually the one who isn't the biological child. Yi Mufan's words sent the living room into silence. Yi Wanwan was dazed for a few seconds before slowly realizing something. What did Yi Mufan's words mean? From Liang Wanjuan's, I thought you'd never come back, when she arrived at the airport earlier, to the understanding that seeped into Liang Wanjun and Yi Xiaoting's eyes when they heard she had something important to confess to them. And then Yi Mufan's careless words just now. Yi Wanwan furtively asked, Dad, Mom, you know? Liang Wanjun and Yi Xiaoting didn't speak at first, as if they didn't know how to respond. In the end, it was Yi Mufan who scratched his head and replied, Ahem, are you talking about how you aren't my younger sister? If that's the matter, then we do already know. Yi Wanwan was dumbfounded for a moment before it was replaced by astonishment. She didn't expect them to have already known about this matter that she found so hard to explain. How did you know? Yi Mufan was quiet for a moment before sighing. My sister was overseas for a pretty long time and didn't spend a lot of time with us, so I really didn't notice at first. If you had kept acting so foolishly and had an absolutely awful taste in men and terrible flirting skills, I never would have suspected anything for my whole life. However, I'm at least certain of one thing: no matter what happens, genetics can't change abruptly. Even if a person suffered trauma and experienced some changes in their personality, their abilities couldn't undergo such a great transformation in such a short period of time. Whether it's your martial arts skills or some of your professional abilities, my sister couldn't accomplish those. Oh right, there's also your taste. That man next to you. He's completely different from the type my sister liked. Since she was young, my sister has only liked the fake gentleman type like Gu Yueza. Chapter 2438. Yi Wanwan turned blank for a while after hearing Yi Mufan. She never expected the always unreliable Yi Mufan to also have such a meticulous side. When did you start suspecting it? Yi Mufan thought about it. I don't remember clearly. There were many things, but it was probably when you suddenly changed your attitude toward Shinmengqi. At first, it was just those little changes, so I didn't think too much about it. The time that made me distinctly suspicious was probably when Yi Wanwan looked up. Yi Mufan coughed and gulped as if there were still lingering fears inside him. The time you punched a giant hole in the hood of Gong Su's sports car. Yi Wanwan's expression froze and she wordlessly clutched her forehead. Alright, so it was the time she got drunk and went crazy. Later. I thought about everything from the beginning and realized you seriously changed too dramatically. You were clearly a fragile and delicate girl, but you would always stand in front of us and could resolve everything no matter what. You had a bad memory since you were a child, but now you suddenly have a photographic memory. Although it was plausible you learned some martial arts, you absolutely couldn't be that fearsome, Yi Mufan said as he sifted through his memories. So you went and did a DNA test because you suspected my identity? Yi Wanwan asked furtively. Yi Mufan shook his head. No. No matter how I suspected you, I never did a test. I just secretly mentioned it to Dad and Mom a few times in a roundabout way. Yi Mufan smiled helplessly. In truth, I could tell that Dad and Mom also had some doubts, but like me, they also partially thought it was impossible. The other part was that they both subconsciously avoided this topic. Yi Wanwan was confused. Then how? Then how did you confirm it? Although Yi Wanwan didn't finish her sentence, Yi Mufan knew what she wanted to say and glanced at the man next to her. A few months ago, your man suddenly visited in the middle of the night and told us the truth. Yi Wanwan turned to look at Si Yihan in shock. Ajo told you? Why didn't I know anything? Yi Wanwan never expected Si Yihan to have told them the truth that long ago. Yi Mufan nodded. Back then, we did faintly sense something was off about you, but hearing the truth from his mouth was still too hard to accept. Then, he just stood outside the door and waited, and also apologized to Dad, Mom, and me. Shock covered Yi Wanwan's face. She had no idea this happened. Yi Wanwan looked at the man next to her again. Why did you come back by yourself to do this? Si Yihan calmly replied, considering your personality, after learning about your true identity, you definitely couldn't bear to conceal it from them and would tell them the truth. It was my fault to begin with, so you shouldn't have to bear this weight. Yi Wanwan hadn't anticipated Si Yihan would even consider that. He knew she valued her relationships and didn't want her to face it alone, so he helped her handle everything long ago. Bitter and complicated emotions swelled in Yi Wanwan's chest. She didn't know what to say. What do you mean it's your fault? You only did it because of me. It was me who was too weak and didn't have the courage to face everything, so I selfishly asked you to help me forget those memories. Even if an explanation was needed, it should have been me who explained. Chapter 2439. It was because of her weakness and avoidance. Yet, he unconditionally followed and indulged her wishes and supported her by himself. He even took the Yi family into consideration for her. Liang Wanjun and Yi Xiaoting's emotions were more stable now. Yi Xiaoting said, at first, Wanjun and I both couldn't accept this reality, so we didn't accept his apology and he stayed standing outside the door, Yi shouting sighed. Later on, we calmed down. Thinking back on it, in a twist of fate, this matter also saved our family, Yi shouting's mind drifted as he replied, back then, when my daughter was studying overseas, she encountered a riot and everyone lost their lives in a blazing inferno in that riot without a single survivor. Because the explosion was too strong, no one's remains were preserved. Yi shouting took a deep breath and continued, back then, Wanjun was too heavily affected and her mental state deteriorated. She didn't drink or eat the whole day, and her health worsened more and more. She even tried to commit suicide several times. It wasn't until one day 3 years ago that we found our daughter. She was blessed and was saved by a kind passerby. She merely suffered some injuries and lost some of her memories. Because our daughter was found, Wanjun finally lifted her head and we never doubted you weren't our daughter, Yi Wanwan replied with difficulty, I'm very sorry. Back then, my memories were replaced already. I didn't intentionally deceive you, but it was me who caused this to happen so there's no defending myself. Yi shouting sighed. Mr. C already explained the general circumstances to us, although Si Yihan withheld the more confidential bits, he sincerely explained the general events to Yi shouting and Liang Wanjun. Yi Wanwan closed her eyes. Apologies. I've caused a lot of trouble for you, Yi shouting looked at the girl in front of him and said while pained, although I don't know how memory replacement works, you were truly identical to our old Wanwan. If it was our Wanwan, the things she would have done actually wouldn't be all too different from what you did. Back then, the second branch already wanted to target us, so the outcome would be the same even if it was a different Wanwan. And with such a useless father like me, Wanwan's fate wouldn't be any better right now even if she survived. It was us parents who weren't able to protect our daughter well, Dad, Yi Wanwan hoarsely protested. Don't say that. You're a wonderful father. Yi shouting took a deep breath. You though, you, a single girl, stood your own ground and protected the entire Yi family by yourself. I truly can't blame you for anything. Moreover, these past few years, your mom and I have truly been very grateful that you came to our side. Tears flowed down Liang Wanjuan's face as she said, no matter what, we can't change the truth that my daughter has passed away. The heavens have already bestowed us with a blessing by letting you come to our side. This was why I didn't dare to expose anything despite all the oddities I discovered. It wasn't until Mr. C told us the truth and completely shattered my hopes. I really couldn't accept it at first, but, Liang Wanjun stared at Yi Wanwan. But Mom's more afraid that you'll leave. I'm afraid, you'll also leave me forever. Chapter 2440. After learning the truth, Liang Wanjun struggled in agony. She couldn't accept the truth that her daughter was dead through and through. More than that though, she couldn't accept the girl, who'd kept her company all these years and whom she completely treated as her own daughter, could leave her and disappear from her life. Yi Wanwan hastily grasped Liang Wanjuan's hand. Mom, I won't. I was only afraid you couldn't forgive my deceit. If you're willing, I'll be your daughter my whole life. Wanwan, tears poured down Liang Wanjuan's face like rainfall, and she sobbed as mother and daughter tightly hugged each other. Yi Mufan gently patted Liang Wanjuan's shoulders in comfort. Later on, during that period in between, we knew the truth, but we feigned ignorance and kept in contact with you like normal. On one hand, we didn't know how to face you, but on the other hand, we were also afraid. We were afraid that you'd leave if we addressed the elephant in the room. And if you left, we wouldn't have any reasons to keep you. After all, you aren't actually related to us. Yi Wanwan instantly glared at Yi Mufan. At least I've been your sister for so long. Am I that ungrateful? I've already planned to hold my wedding in China as Yi Wanwan. Of course, that's if you'll allow it. After all, this identity doesn't belong to me. Yi Mufan's eyes shot open. You're getting married? When? Yi Wanwan retorted, isn't that why I came back to discuss the exact date with Dad and Mom? Liang Wanjun and Yi shouting met each other's eyes, seeing each other's euphoria. You're holding your wedding in China. But for such an important event, you should allow your real parents to decide. Yi Wanwan quickly responded, I've discussed it with my parents and grandpa already. They all agree to me holding it here. At that time, they can come to China, and we can invite our friends over here too. Liang Wanjun and Yi Xiaoting didn't expect Yi Wanwan would choose to get married with the Yi family. They were touched. If you're willing, of course you can. They couldn't personally witness their daughter get married anymore, so this would fulfill one of their dreams. That evening, Yi Wanwan escorted Si Yihan to the front door. I'll stay with my dad and mom for now, and I'll go see grandma tomorrow, Yi Wanwan said. Okay. Yi Wanwan sighed. In truth, I can handle it myself. I'm not a child, I was a golden manager at least, alright? I'm best at handling all kinds of tricky problems. Si Yihan was so taciturn and inarticulate. She found it hard to imagine how he explained everything to the Yi family. The man intently stared at the girl's face with his ocean-like eyes. His large hand patted the top of her head extremely gently and his voice sounded like he was praising a child. You're very awesome. I know that. For some reason, Yi Wanwan's heart started speeding up again merely from his simple praise. Sunlight scattered across the man's icy eyes, melting them into a warm stream. He softly added, however, if I allowed you to handle everything yourself, then what would be the point of my existence? He clearly did so much, but he never said anything. With one simple word from her and a willful request, he silently kept guard over her and never tried to explain himself even when he was misunderstood. Yi Wanwan smiled tenderly at this cold man who was also a gentleman. The best trade in my life was probably exchanging a Xiaobing for you. Chapter 2441. After leaving Golden Seas, Si Yihan returned to the ancestral sea residence first to visit his grandma before driving to Jean Garden and staying the night there. Meanwhile, Yi Wanwan was lying in her bed, a bit fatigued from spending the day on the plane. She was about to put down her phone and go to sleep when she saw the date on her phone. She abruptly rolled around and crawled back out of bed. Today was December 21st, so tomorrow was December 22nd, which was the winter solstice and also Si Yihan's birthday. In all the time she'd known Si Yihan, he never mentioned his own birthday and wasn't accustomed to celebrating his birthday. Yi Wanwan knew he didn't like to talk about his birthday, so she avoided mentioning it in the past. Later, when Tang Tang was staying with Yin Yuerong, he seemed to have talked about many things with Yin Yuerong and Ajio was brought up somewhere in the conversation. After they returned to Yun City, she conversed with Tang Tang, who mentioned Ajio was born on a very cold winter night. She kept that in mind and had Tang Tang call Yin Yuerong to ask when Si Yihan's birthday was. Baby Tang Tang successfully completed his mission and figured out his dad's birthday, which was December 22nd. Today, she came back to China and saw her parents and was so preoccupied with revealing the truth to them, so she nearly forgot about it. Yi Wanwan glanced at the time on her phone. It was 10 p.m., midnight was 2 hours away. Thank goodness. There's still time. Yi Wanwan got out of bed and sprinted to Yi Xiaoting and Liang Wanjuan's room, asking them for her household registration booklet before going to Yi Mufan's room and knocking. Brother! Open the door, open the door. Yi Mufan opened the door, slippers on his feet and his posture slouched. What is it? I was about to sleep, lend your car to me. I'm in a hurry. Yi Wanwan asked in a rush. Yi Mufan frowned. It's late. Why aren't you sleeping? Yi Wanwan quickly responded, tomorrow's my baby's birthday. It'll be 12 in 2 hours. I need to hurry over and give him a surprise, then wait in front of the civil administration office overnight so that we can become the first couple to be officially wed tomorrow morning. Isn't that so romantic? Stuffed with a bucket of dog food unexpectedly, Yi Mufan nearly suffocated. It took him a moment to regain his senses. You're a girl, can't you act more reserved? Yi Wanwan was incredulous. Are you kidding, brother? My baby is so outstanding. If I was reserved, I'd have no place left. Hurry, hurry, give me your key. Yi Xiaoting and Liang Wanjun appeared to have heard the commotion and also came out of their room. Yi Mufan immediately seized the opportunity to tattle on her. Dad, Mom, hurry and look at your daughter. She's stealing her household registration booklet in the middle of the night and wants to go get married to her man. Aren't you going to tell her off? Yi shouting glared at his son. There's no stealing. I gave her the booklet. Yi Mufan. Liang Wanjun also softly said, it's good for young people to have passion. Mufan, it's too late now, so it's not safe for Wanwan to be out by herself. Drive her there. Yi Mufan. Thank you, Dad. Thank you, Mom. Yi Wanwan then urged him gloatingly, let's go, let's go. Or else we won't make it in time. I need to say happy birthday to my baby the second 12 o'clock hits. Oh right, if you could help me find a box of fireworks, that'd be even better. Yi Mufan simply wanted to kill her with a slap. Fireworks my ass. Imperial City prohibits fireworks and firecrackers, alright? Chapter 2442. In the end, under pressure from his parents, Yi Mufan accepted his fate, got changed and drove Yi Wanwan. Forget it, it wasn't safe for her to travel there by herself. It wasn't safe for the pedestrians on the streets. Yi Mufan first drove Yi Wanwan to the ancestral Si residence so that Yi Wanwan could get Si Yihan's household registration booklet from Grandma Si. Who'd like a granddaughter-in-law as brassy as you? They'd probably be scared off by you. Just watch, his grandma will definitely kick you out. Yi Mufan grumbled derisively. However, 10 minutes later, Yi Wanwan came out again with a strikingly scarlet household registration booklet in her hand and a benevolent-looking elderly woman by her side. The elderly woman merrily grasped the girl's hand as she said, hurry on then, but take your time on the road. Do you need Grandma to get a driver for you? No need, Grandma. My brother came with me, so he can drive me there. Great. Yi Mufan stared at this incredibly harmonious scene in front of him. Why was the script turned upside down? Was he lagging behind the times? Yi Wanwan looked at the time on her phone and estimated the time she had remaining. Hurry, help me go buy fireworks. We can light them in the suburbs. Yi Wanwan urged. She still hadn't forgotten about this. Yi Mufan gritted his teeth. Is being allowed to light fireworks the main point? Where am I supposed to buy fireworks for you in the middle of the night? Don't you think you're being too awful to me, a single dog? What kind of sin did he commit to be forced to follow her this whole time and be stuffed with dog food the entire trip? It's all because you're my brother. Yi Wanwan blithely grinned. Brother, I know you treat me the best, better than my real brother. No, wait. You are my real brother. Yi Mufan glanced at her from the corner of his eyes, concealing the ecstasy in his eyes. Really? Of course. I remember there's a store nearby where we can buy them. Let's go there and try our luck. Thankfully, their luck was good and Yi Mufan really managed to buy a box of fireworks. After stuffing the car trunk full of fireworks, they made their way to Jean Garden. Brother, please. You just need to go to the lake in the back. That place is the most ideal. You can start lighting them when it's time. Yi Wanwan instructed him. Okay. Leave it to me. After saying that, Yi Wanwan avoided the main entrance and scaled the wall in the back courtyard in order to surprise Si Yihan. She'd completely renovated Jean Garden once and planted it full of fruit trees and vegetables. Although it was winter right now, Yi Wanwan still saw many fruits that were in season and even saw a giant vegetable garden greenhouse in the distance. It was very down-to-earth. It appeared Steward Su meticulously took care of the garden while she was gone, and the enormous garden was bustling with life and growth. Who's there? Yi Wanwan was wandering around when she heard a harsh shout, promptly followed by the sound of the slashing wind. Yi Wanwan extended her arm in a flash and blocked off the attack. Miss Wanwan. Surprise filled Su Yi's face when he saw the visitor. Miss Wanwan, why are you here? I'm not allowed to be here. Yi Wanwan raised her brows. You can. Of course you can. It's just. Why did you come inside by scaling a wall? It'll be your 9th master's birthday when it's 12. I want to give him a surprise. Tomorrow's 9th master's birthday. Si Yihan really never celebrated his birthday, so even Su-yi had no clue about the exact date of Si Yihan's birthday. Chapter 2443 Steward Su, enough talking. I don't have time, I'm going to go now. Yi Wanwan shouted. Alright, Miss Wanwan, but wait, 9th master probably isn't in his bedroom right now. Go to the loft on the top floor and take a look there. Su-yi said. Yi Wanwan paused. The loft? Su-yi nodded. Yes, after coming back to Jean Garden, he went to the loft by himself. I heard 9th master isn't in a good mood on this day every year. Yi Wanwan furrowed her brows. Okay, got it. Yi Wanwan glanced at the time on her phone and rushed to the loft. There were 10 minutes left. Yi Wanwan sprinted to the top floor in one go before bursting through the door to the loft. Ajo! Yi Wanwan called softly, but the loft was silent without a sound. Ajo! What's going on? He doesn't seem to be here. Did he leave already? After calling a few more times, Yi Wanwan still didn't hear anyone, so she could only check elsewhere. Because she wanted to give him a surprise, she moved carefully and as quietly as possible. She could only covertly search room after room. In the end, she couldn't find him anywhere. He wasn't in the loft, the study, or the bedroom. Damn! Where the heck did he go? Yi Wanwan watched the clock drop down to 3 minutes before midnight and spun around anxiously. Her birthday surprise. Was it going to be aborted prematurely just like this? 3 minutes. 2 minutes, Yi Wanwan was standing in front of the bedroom, about to look elsewhere, when her ears twitched and heard some shuffling from the bedroom. Eh. Yi Wanwan opened the bedroom door immediately. The noise seemed to have come from the bathroom. Damn. She was in too big a hurry earlier and only looked outside, not expecting him to be in the bathroom. Shit. I only have 1 minute left. Yi Wanwan had no presence of mind for anything else and launched toward the bathroom like a rocket, kicking open the door without a word. Bang! The door slammed against the wall, shaking from the impact. And so, with the man's stunned gaze on her, Yi Wanwan leaped toward him, maintaining her bullet speed. Si Yihan appeared to have just finished showering. His hair was wet and he still wasn't dressed with only a white towel tied around his waist. Wanwan. Si Yihan's hands stayed poised inches from his hair with a towel in them, in the middle of drying his hair. He didn't expect Yi Wanwan to suddenly appear at all, staggering a step back when she barreled into her. Si Yihan immediately extended his arms to stabilize her and prevent her from falling. His expression was solemn as he asked, "Why did you come here? Did something happen?" Yi Wanwan ignored Si Yihan's inquiries and hastily made a shushing noise, signaling him to be quiet before peering down at her phone. She counted down, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. As Yi Wanwan counted, she scrambled to pull out a slender sparkler from her pocket and lit it with a lighter before turning off the bathroom light with a paw. Dong! Downstairs, the clock resounded as it struck midnight. At the same time. Sizzle! The sparkler ignited and the faint but brilliant sparks illuminated the small bathroom, casting a glow on the girl's flushed, panting face as well as her mesmerizingly enchanting eyes. Si Yihan, the girl raised her sparkler as she stood on tiptoe and kissed the man on the lips. Her sweet and glutinous voice, accompanied by the sound of the fireworks and the chiming clock, rang next to his ears. Happy birthday! Chapter 2444, Si Yihan, Happy Birthday. Si Yihan felt as if there was a blazing flame dashing toward him along with the girl and it slammed into his heart. Bang! Outside the window, a ball of light started small and rose in the night sky before exploding into a bright and resplendent flower, illuminating the entire sky. From the small window in the bathroom, Yi Wanwan faintly saw the fireworks outside and turned euphoric. Yi Mufan finally didn't let her down for once. Baby, come here, come here. Yi Wanwan eagerly dragged Si Yihan to the balcony outside the bedroom. The second the balcony door opened, fireworks burst in front of their eyes, sprawling across the sky. Yi Wanwan looked at the fireworks in the sky while waving her sparklers and lamenting, "Sigh, I know this birthday celebration is a bit tacky, but I was pressed for time, so it was all I could do." Si Yihan looked at the girl in front of him, a myriad of emotions billowing in his chest. His voice was low and hoarse as he asked, "How did you know?" "I had baby Tang Tang," asked Director Yin. "Oh right, Sui told me you were in the loft and also said you're typically in a bad mood at this time every year, so how come today?" When Yi Wanwan charged into the bathroom, Si Yihan was showering and didn't appear to have any traces of sadness on his face, so Yi Wanwan couldn't help but find it odd. Si Yihan silently looked at the girl before replying, "Su Yi's right. My mood isn't too good every year at this time, but this year is different." "This year is different?" I'm in a very good mood this year." Yi Wanwan grinned. "Is it because we're about to get married?" Si Yihan didn't deny it and leaned down to kiss her on the lips. "Yes, it's because we're about to get married." Yi Wanwan enigmatically pulled two little booklets out of her pocket. "Then you'll definitely like my birthday present." Si Yihan looked at the two household registration booklets she was holding, his unfathomable eyes overflowing with a brilliant light and vibrant colors. It's our household registration booklets. We'll go and get our marriage license first thing tomorrow morning." Yi Wanwan paused a moment before continuing, "Oh right, I've taken care of our marriage license in the independent state already. We originally needed to go in person, but I asked Master to open the back door for us, so everything is taken care of." At the same time, Yi Lingjun, who was far away in the independent state, thought, "Haha, I've always abided by the principle of acting upright and honest as the president of the arbitration council. This is the first time I've opened the back door for someone, and it was to help my little disciple obtain a marriage license. Wasn't this using a sledgehammer to crack a nut? He was so powerful, so he should have at least pulled something big. But what could he do? A dad from his little disciple, and he'd help her do anything she wanted." Back in China, Yi Wanwan clicked open the photo album on her phone as she spoke and pulled up the photo of the marriage license that Yi Lingjun sent her. "Look!" The marriage license in the independent state was also a red booklet. Gold-foiled letters were printed inside, and the photo featured was one that she picked from her array of photos with Si Yihan. "Hee, do you like your birthday this year? I know you don't like to celebrate your birthday, but I made the decision to help you celebrate without asking you. You aren't angry, right?" Yi Wanwan asked nervously. "I like it." The man leaned down again and fiercely kissed her lips. How could he dislike it? He'd always viewed the day he was born as a day of misfortune and calamity. Now though, he'd never been as glad as this moment that he was brought into this world and was bestowed the chance to meet her.